hug. Good afternoon, Chloe. It's Mr. Hussain here regarding my brother, Mr. Talib Hussain, date of birth 15/9/1960. I was wondering if you can put me through to Christopher Browell.
Okay, just bear with me. I'll see if it's available for you.
Thank you.
Hi, Shazar.
Oh, hi, Chris. How we doing?
I'm okay. You're alright.
Yes, okay. You sound a bit stressed.
No, I'm okay. I'm alright.
Okay, all right. Have you had a good bank holiday weekend?
Yes, it was fine. Thanks. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
You?
You didn't tell me you were off last week, no?
I was on sickness leave.
Oh, were you? Okay, okay. That's why. Okay, all right. Because I'm just thinking. Normally, you do tell me if you're going on holiday and stuff, or but so you're on sick leave. Okay, not to worry. Not to worry. Well, obviously, the reason I'm ringing you up is obviously, I think the only live real issue is regarding the council tax situation. Obviously, the summoning us up to court, me and my brother on the first, which is on Thursday, and obviously, I just
Right.
wanted to know if you managed to contact them or have any, just get an update on this.
I haven't, no. See, it's due in court. I think you said you were going to send me the letter. I'm not sure if you did or not.
Oh, when did you go off work?
Last week, just last week.
Because I'm sure I sent you.
I think you sent one, and then you said that there was the summons or something you were going to send me.
Yeah, yeah. Did you not get my email on the 17th of May?
Let me just check.
It's got council tax notice.
I've got one on the 18th.
18th. Yeah, well, I mean that must be it then. It says here on I sent it on the 17th. Yes, and it's got a council tax notice on there now.
Yeah, I think we did discuss after that. I think about the summons, but that was it.
Would you be able to tell me when was the last time that we spoke?
I'll just check. I think we last spoke. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, we spoke on the 16th of May, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, and then you sent that. Summons is going to court
I mean, that would all.
mention about
That would only be really in regards to myself, but you already work for the council and you already act as Talib's care coordinator.
yeah. I can try and give them a call now. As I say, it's quite unusual to, in my experience, to just say, if we get any letters from the council that there's a single point of contact. I have recorded it. That's what you've requested, but you could try and call them yourself.
Yeah, I understand this, but can you understand that when I have tried to engage with other, I mean, it's just basically, I'm getting a bit of a conflicting information here. So when it serves the council's agenda, they said no, you can't because I have like in this email that I've sent you on the 17th. I've not only sent it to you, have I? I mean, I've included quite a number of other people. Yep. First of all, did you manage to read this email?
I've seen the email. Yeah.
So obviously it touches on the fact that regarding the council tax, but more importantly it reiterates my remuneration care cost policy, and obviously I have evidence to you that this issue effectively I've made Mark Truin, who was a senior social worker at the time, on the 13th of May 2014, of this care cost policy. So when you say the fact that it's unusual, unfortunately, Mr. Browell, we are in unusual and uncharted territory, because obviously since the 14th of May, since the 13th of May 2014, I've made it quite clear to the local authority that those are my care cost policies, and as a consequence, I mean that was in May. 4 months later, in September, I've made serious allegations that the local authority have effectively murdered my brother Nazim and tried to frame me for that. And obviously, those were clearly articulated at the time. And then subsequently, in 2015, you, the local authority, have criminally convicted me of defrauding the very people that I've alleged that you've not only murdered, but all my other family members. And then subsequently, obviously, you, the local authority, in 2018-19, have stated that we don't want you to write out to everybody else. We want to have a single point of contact because you keep on writing out to other people. I think that's highly discriminatory. But in regards to this, I mean, obviously, this is not like this is not just like a simple council tax matter in isolation that I can just deal with them. There's a very holistic approach that needs to be taken here, which is that, on the one hand, you're quite easily compartmentalizing things when it serves your agenda and purpose, but that is discriminatory towards myself because you're not taking the holistic or the wider picture into context. I mean, the fact.
Am I right? He's saying have you been asked not to contact the council previously?
Yes, I have been told specifically. I think it's called the vexatious complaint policy that was presented to me in March 2019, that stated that you need to have a single point of contact, and then through the court proceedings at the Court of Protection, as you know, in relation to my mother, you effectively have a policy where you don't want me to email everybody or contact everybody, so a specific email account you allocated to me to force me to do email into that account, and obviously I disagree with that because it's highly discriminatory. So but I've continued to email, like, include other people. But from your perspective, you've explained to me that the solicitors have explained to me that how we want to deal with you is only one channel, namely this dedicated email account, which you're familiar with. They've told me to do this. So when it serves your purpose, you tell me. You tell me that, like we want you to do it one way, and now you're telling me, well, I can contact them directly. But you do understand, Mr. Brown, when I contact them directly, it's just going to be like an agent or a call handler who's going to say, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Hussain, but I don't know everything. And so therefore, I'm sorry, but, and I'm just going to have to repeat myself, and nothing's really going to be resolved in that manner. However, with regards to yourself, because you've been on this case for like over a year now, you fully understand all the wider picture, and the fact that like in August last year, the council have gone behind my back and got colluded with the Department of Work and Pensions to try to remove my carers allowance. Now we shouldn't be paying any council tax. Number one, I'm on carers allowance. All right, and universal credit, and number two, my brother's on qualifying benefits, and even if we were entitled, my brother is entitled to a place of residence under the Section 117 aftercare. You have a duty of care to house him. So, can you understand that we're not entitled to pay this, and I don't see why I need to ring up the council people and go through this charade once again, because on the one hand the council says no, we want you to do it one way, but then when it's difficult for you to deal with it that way, you want to do it another way. So
I do understand what you're saying to that, but also as well, you're quite selective as well.
I am.
You're kind of saying there should be a single point of contact, but you're also sending emails.
Yes. Yes.
Contacts, so.
Yes. But can you understand? That you are right. I am being selective. Yes, and but I have a freedom to do so. But you, the local authority, can't do the same, can you? If I'm taking a haphazard approach, like for example, emailing other people and then now saying, well, I want a single point of contact, I have a right to do that. All right, because I'm a civilian and a citizen. I feel that I feel that my actions are justified in the unprecedented circumstances that you, the local authority, have created. But the converse cannot be said the same. You, the local authority, as a local authority and a corporation, must have like a way of doing things. Now, the way that you've designed them is the fact that basically you're trying to rig it to your own advantage. You can't take you have to take a singular approach rather than a haphazard approach. And so, I mean, ideally, can you understand that the problem here is that when you're dealing with me, you're dealing with one person. You can ask me any question regarding my brother, my mother, my background. There's only one person. I'm basically the CEO of my family. Conversely, the CEO of Bradford Council, who knows everything, who's authorized everything, is refusing to engage with me directly and looks to do so via proxies and acting with malevolence. That's the problem here, you see. So if you are acting honorably, then I'll act honorably. But because you're acting dishonorably, you cannot then criticize me for acting in a haphazard manner.
That's fine. Can I try and give them a call and give you a call back? I'll try and give them a call now and see what they say.
Okay, well, can we do that after this call? I don't want to take too much of your time, but obviously, as you can appreciate, I have been waiting on hold, trying to get through to yourself, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to, obviously see if there's been any other further developments or anything else outside of the council tax issue.
Okay.
So, I know you've been off work, Mr. Browell, and and this is the first day that you're back. But have there been any other developments?
Well, we talked. The only thing that development is we spoke about that proposal, and as with everything in these matters, there always seems to be more difficulties and more things to kind of complete. So where we're at with that is that a letter has been drawn, but I've kind of, I've kind of passed on your kind of comments and your perspective. That's kind of been incorporated into the letter, but also as well, I think what has been decided is that the letter would need to be, even though we've got to work out who it's addressed to, whether it's addressed to just Talib or a separate letter to yourself or one letter addressed to you and Talib. I think it would need to be addressed to Talib in some way, but as that would be the case, we need to get the letter translated into Urdu. So I need to send off that letter to be translated into Urdu. Unfortunately, the last time that I asked for a letter to be translated, the quickest was 2 to 3 weeks. So that's where we're at with that.
Okay, all right. But can you understand that you're now creating stumbling blocks because you understand that, can you understand that the problem here is, yes, it's complicated because you, the local authority, are trying to do two things that are contradictory. Because on the one hand, the reality is this, that my brother Talib wants nothing to do with yourself. He's authorized me and to act on his behalf as his representative to deal with all matters on for the basis of the fact that he is doubly incontinent, he has mental health problems, he has mobility issues, he requires assistance in cutting up his food and helping me address him and everything. So for him to actually engage with yourselves, it would be highly stressful and unfeasible for him. But more importantly, he does not read or write in English, he does not speak English, and he does not actually read Urdu. So this exercise of writing, converting it into Urdu is an exercise in futility, because you want to speak to Talib directly, and that has always been the problem here. You want to speak to Talib or engage Talib directly to my exclusion. And that is obviously not feasible or not practicable and not justifiable, because obviously me and my brother and my sister wanted to speak to our mother directly, and you created all these stumbling blocks. So the problem here, Mr. Browell, is not, obviously you can appreciate that it's not in our best interest to stonewall or create problems. Obviously we just want to live our life, because this is our private life, our family life. We want to be left alone. But it is a problem with you, the local authority. Now that's hence why I said, look, last time when we spoke, we came to an agreement that you'd be addressing to myself as Talib's representative. Now I obviously knew the fact that would cause problems. At the time you were not fully aware of this, so you've gone to the legal team and they said, no, we don't want to actually acknowledge in writing that he represents his brother. And the reason for that is because of this, once again, the elephant in the room, which is your criminal conviction. Because how can it be that you've criminally convicted me and now are addressing me as his representative? That is the fundamental problem here. So what you, the local authority, are trying to do is something that is an impossibility, given the reality that we're facing here. So that is the problem here. So you've drafted the letter, gone to the legal, and they said, no, we don't want to address it to Mr. Hussain, we have to address it directly to Talib. But why? Because Talib has a representative. If Talib had a solicitor, you would write to the solicitor directly. He's elected me to have his power of attorney, which obviously you, the local authority, have taken at length to remove. But in the absence of removing that, you want to effectively keep yourself in control. Now this present situation, obviously, Mr. Browell, is very, very problematic, because if something happens to my brother's not in a position to sue you, is he, as the council? Because you understand that the situation that you've created, effectively, if any of your other clients or anybody else in regards to Bradford Council that they're providing services to, if they fail to adequately meet those services, the service user has an avenue to take reparation actions or litigation actions against you, the council. But the situation that you've created in regards to my brother, he cannot take legal action against you, can he?
Why is that? Sorry.
He can't take legal action against you because you act as his legal representatives. Yeah, you have power of attorney. Effectively, you have power of attorney. So we effectively are in this situation where you're trying to give us services, and yet we are disadvantaged by because and discriminated against, because unlike anybody else where the services fail, and Mr. Browell, services often do fail, especially when Bradford Council is involved. And in the past, I remind myself that you, the local authority, in 2012, took over the case and put my brother in a car accident. And so similarly, if you attempt to provide him with services, and services do and often can go wrong, that he's no longer in a position to take legal action against that failure, because you effectively are as a legal representative through this contrivance of acting as his financial deputy. Effectively, you have his legal authority. So that's problematic, you see. So on the one hand, you have his legal authority, but then when there's court proceedings taking place, you're taking a back step. So this issue, Mr. Browell, is a very, very complex issue, And the reason of its complexity is nothing to do with my personality, or me interfering, but it's to do with the fact that you're trying to juggle two balls or trying to do two things effectively, trying to do things whilst under the constraints of this criminal conviction you've got against me. That's the problem here, isn't it?
Right, but where are we at with this letter then?
Yeah, I mean, this is what. Who has told you to put this in? Who has told you to put this in Urdu?
Can Talib not read Urdu, or can he not read at all, or?
Well, no, he can't read Urdu. No. Who told you they can read Urdu?
Didn't we send a previous letter in Urdu?
Did I tell you to send that letter in Urdu?
I'm not sure if he did, no, but I think it's just whether Talib can read that or not. It's trying to provide Talib the best opportunity.
Yes.
And being provided with information.
Yes.
Yes,
and the best and most effective way to communicate with him is through myself, isn't it?
Okay.
But you don't want to channel that. You don't want to channel communication with me through me, because obviously then you have to the local authority have to take into consideration your criminal conviction. Then hence why, Mr. Browell, that you've been instructed not to communicate with me via email or write to me directly. You obviously.
The thing would be, Shazad, if someone has a learning disability, profound learning disability, I would have thought that they would still receive correspondence to them.
Yes. You're right. Yeah. No, you're right. Sorry, Mr. Browell, you are perfectly right. Just because somebody has learning disabilities does not mean the fact that they should not be, they're not citizen and they do not have legal rights. So, for example, with somebody with learning disabilities, they still have a right to vote, don't they? It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as, oh well, because you got learning disabilities that you can't vote. It's a legal right. Yeah. So my brother still has certain legal rights which cannot be detracted. But however, where the complexity lies is that my brother does not have learning disabilities or being diagnosed with learning disabilities. But the problem lies in the fact that you, the local authority, are effectively acting as his acting as his legal representatives. So any legal rights, would ideally be addressed to you, the local authority, because you got this power of attorney, deputyship. So can you understand, through the deputyship, you can the banks don't need to speak to Talib. They can write directly to you. And as you're fully aware, that the Department of Work and Pensions will not deal directly with Talib, or will not send him any correspondence, but they'll send them directly to you, the local authority, because of the deputyship that you put in place. So can you understand that, yes, you are right, that it doesn't matter if somebody's got learning disabilities or impairments, they are still entitled to have correspondence addressed to them. But what you, the local authority, have done is you are effectively in charge of his correspondence. And that's exactly what happened in my mother's case. The financial deputy in my mother's case effectively redirected all correspondence from our address to her. So effectively, the correspondence that you're sending out should be going to you. Can you understand? You effectively, negated the fact that Talib should be receiving correspondence, because what normally happens, as you can appreciate, Mr. Browell, is that if I have his power of attorney, you'd be addressing everything to me, wouldn't you? As his legal representative.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure if it would actually still be addressed
yes.
to themselves.
Yeah, all right, because okay, can you confirm to me that my brother's every year my brother is entitled to receive a P60 from the HM Revenue and Customs? He's not received that. Are you the council receiving that?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Do you know what a P60 is?
Is that the end of tax year?
Yes.
Yeah,
so okay. It's concerning to me that my brother's not received his because obviously one of the key aspects here is we would like to know how much money you've saved up, but also we need to know how much money he's getting a year. All right, and ideally that would be provided to Talib, wouldn't it? But can you understand that like my other siblings, and I know people like my sister has schizophrenia as well. She's received a P60, and so end of year why is the HM Revenue and Customs not sending my brother this form so we can see how much money he's on? Because right now we don't even know what his annual income is. And so, can you understand? So, yes, of course, there are legal requirements. My brother is still a legal entity, but we're in this very, very cathartic place because, on the one hand, you, the local authority, want to be charged of his finances. You don't understand that having acting as his deputy, you need to take on further responsibilities outside of just managing his finances. You need to be able to take litigation action against anybody that is obviously liable, and under these circumstances you, the local authority, cannot take litigation action on behalf of Talib against yourself, can you? And this is why we're in this very problematic area. And just for your information, Mr. Browell, I'm not sure if you're aware, but obviously in the background I have been liaising with the local authority via the What Do They Know website. Are you familiar with this website?
I'm not, no.
Well, What Do They Know website is it's an online website that you can utilize to make freedom of information requests. So I have been making freedom of information requests from to Bradford Council, particularly in relation to my criminal conviction. And what they've come back to me on a public platform have stated to me that I think they've confirmed to me that from 2012 onwards that they've never ever criminally convicted anybody or for fraud except for one person, and that obviously one person is myself. So for the, and I would argue, and I'm obviously wrote back to them, and I would seek further clarity from them, but I would argue that throughout the history of the Fraud Act, which came into effect, I think in 2006 or 2007, that throughout the entirety of the Fraud Act, that the local authority has never ever criminally convicted anybody of fraud, ever, except for myself. So, when we were talking about precedences, you, the local authority, have already set a precedence by criminally convicting me, and unfortunately we are now at this stage where we're having to live through the consequences of that criminal conviction. Because ideally, Mr. Browell, what should have happened, or what the local authority wanted to do, was effectively criminally convict me, send me to prison for God knows how long, and effectively take me out of Talib and my mum's life. That's not happened because the criminal conviction was served. I've come out and I've continued to become a carer. Now this is now the effectively what they say. The saying is the chicken's coming home to roost, because effectively I'm still my brother's carer, and the local authority are doing hell and high water, going through hell and high water, trying to remove me as my brother's carer, as they have done in my mother's case. Now, on each, and Mr. Browell was convicted in 2016. All right, that was over 5 years ago. I've been back to being my brother's carer since July 2017, and we're now in 2023, so that's 6 years I've been my brother's carer. And since 2016, my brother's not received unfettered access to his benefit money or any money. So these are problems that you, the local authority, have created. So coming back to this issue of this letter, it's just a contrivance, isn't it? It's like you're going to send a letter addressed to my brother Talib in Urdu. He's not going to be able to read it, all right? And I don't understand what you're trying to engage with him for when he's quite clearly stated that, I represent him. And you, the local authority, cannot have that because, obviously, of the criminal conviction, which is a precedence. So do you remember when we spoke last time and you said to me that the council are not willing to pay me minimum wage because that would set a precedence? Do you remember that conversation?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, and the reason that we had this conversation and you stated that the local authority are not even willing to pay you minimum wage because then effectively that would set a precedence, and then that would mean that all the other 10 million carers like myself would equally have to be paid minimum wage. But so that's a precedence that you don't want to set, but you're quite happy to set a precedence when it serves your financial agenda, and your strategic agenda by criminally convicting me. Mr. Browell, we're here today because of this criminal conviction. The problems are such that we're here today because of your criminal conviction. Because ideally,
Sorry, Shazad, sorry to interrupt. I think I can understand what you're saying about the criminal conviction, but I still think it would be the same that basically the local authority would want to liaise and communicate with Talib. I don't think it's really that important in this case. I know it is to you, and I understand that, but it's still, you would try to communicate with the person themselves and include them in any decision.
Okay.
It's a bit of a problematic if
No. Okay.
you're saying he authorises you as his representative and saying he says he doesn't want to communicate with us, but without actually, I know we've gone over this in the past, and Talib's said this in the past, he doesn't want any support from CMHT and things like that, but still, I think the letters and communication would still be tried to try and involve the person and engage the person.
Yes. Okay. That's
Because you've got a criminal conviction or anything.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough, Mr. Browell. I understand the argument that you're making. However, the reality is this, that I've been doing this role now since the year 2000, and I have effectively been the. Can you understand that my brother does not speak English? He would not verbally engage with you, and the reality is this, because we have to understand what the rhetoric is and what the law is and what the reality is. Now, what the rhetoric and the law is, that of course the person is a citizen, because my brother Talib is a citizen. So just like my mother or my father or my other brother, so they are legal entities. You have to engage with the legal entity or correspond with them because they are the citizen who has a right to vote. Now, however, the practical realities are this, that neither Talib nor any other one of my family members speaks English or was born in this country to be to fully appreciate the cultural differences. They're all Pakistanis. All right, they come from Pakistan as immigrants into this country, and they do not speak English. Now, that does not mean the fact that they should be discriminated against just because they've come from Pakistan and they don't speak the language. All right, so they don't need to be discriminated against, because that would be denying them services. You cannot say, oh, well, you don't have a right to vote because you don't understand our culture or the English culture or that's all nonsense, isn't it? Every citizen has a right to vote. As long as you're a citizen, you have a right to vote, and that right to vote entitles you to all other services. So it doesn't really matter regarding your inability to speak or the language and stuff. However, what you need to take into consideration is that I'm a university educated person, born in this country and raised in this country. Now, my siblings or my relatives or my family members have elected me to speak on their behalf, and so in the past, at no stage previously, prior to the criminal conviction, has any council employee thought it best to speak to them. So, for example, let me just give you an example. If social workers were to come to speak to Talib or my mother or my father, what they would require to do is they would require to get an interpreter. You understand this, because that's what you would have to do as well. The interpreter has an added cost that the local authority don't want to incur, and so often what would happen is that the local authority would engage with myself and communicate with me directly, to speak to the people, and because I act on their behalf, I answer those questions on their behalf. So can you understand that the situation is one where we have to look at what the reality of the situation is? They don't speak English, they don't want to speak to yourself, and it's not just talking about Taliban, none of them want to speak to yourself. And I understand that if, for example, they don't engage with services that they're entitled to, then that's a cost to myself. So, for example, if my brother is entitled to some money, all right, and he says, no, I don't want to involve with these people, I don't speak the language, and, I know the fact that if he needs that money and, he's entitled to it, then I should act on his behalf. So that's what's been happening in the past, is that at no previous stage through my prolonged a history with the council? Has the council ever looked to engage directly with the service user, because they understand the problems that that would represent? There would be problems in communication, problems in understanding, and the fact that it would be costly to get a translator. So in the past, the local authority have utilized me as a means to effectively get the paperwork done, because how it seems on paper is not the reality of the situation. And that's the problem here, you see, because it is a very complex and a nuanced issue here. Because on the one hand, and this is why we've had this conversation in the past where you're saying officially we need to do it this way, but the reality is that officially you've never done things that way. All right, because at no stage has my family members took on those services. Effectively, it's me that's taking on the services. So for example, let's just take for example the GP practice. Now ideally my brother or my mother would not want to go to the doctors. They don't need to go to the doctors. They don't understand the need to, because that's not culturally appropriate to them. However, I understand that because they have certain needs and rights, they have to be registered with the doctor. So it's I'm registering them on their behalf officially, but the reality is for services for myself, because when they become ill, I will need either I will have to deal with their healthcare needs, or I will need access to a doctor. So can you understand the nuanced reality here is one where everything effectively are services to me, but you cannot say that they are services to me, because practically I'm not the service user. They're the service user. So this is the flaw in the system, because the system itself does not recognize that the fact that I can have rights conferred onto me, just like I can have disabilities conferred onto me. So for example, my brother has a disability, I don't have that disability, but because he has that disability, those disabilities are effectively conferred onto myself, and I have to act in his best interest. So this is the problem, Mr. Browell, that yes, of course, in an ideal situation I should not be involved. You should be dealing directly with my brother should be communicating directly with you. All right, and that would be the ideal, least complex situation. However, there is an added complexity when the person does not speak the language, so you need to then get a translator. There's an added complexity when somebody has mental health problems, then you need to get a mental health advocate to advocate on their behalf in my absence. So can you understand that I do many roles? One of those is their legal representative, another one is a translator, another one is an advocate, and also whilst at the same time looking to act as his family member. So I do numerous roles that effectively you, the local authority, would ideally like to sidestep. Now, ideally, that's the problem here, isn't it? Because you're trying to do quite a lot of things yourselves which you don't have a legal right to do, and this is one of the problems that I have. Now, if for example previously you've never ever directly communicated with my brother, even in historically when he was receiving direct payments, he was receiving direct payments officially in his name on paper. However, the reality was that you were paying me the money, all right, unofficially. And that was the problem there, you see. And obviously all I asked was to be formally recognized, having a legal contract or an employment contract or something in writing, and you had refused to do so, which had ultimately then was to my detriment, which resulted in a criminal conviction. Because then you can criminally convict me saying that, oh, we didn't give you the money because on paper it looks like we gave Talib the money and you must have stolen it from him. So can you understand? I'm always facing the situation where you, the local authority, want to, evidence things on paper which is not comported to reality, and you say, look, this is just the way the system is. You've not made any provisions for someone like my brother who does not speak English, who has mental health problems, and more importantly, who has somebody to advocate on his behalf. Now, I'm experiencing the same problems with the present GP, because the present GP, like for example, in my sister's case, I have registered the lasting power of attorney, which is still valid in my sister's case, and the GP is insisting on writing to my sister. All right, and so this is the problem. You've created a system that is only one-to-one, service user, service provider. However, that does not comport to reality, because there's no such thing as a service user in this case. The service user is effectively myself. But you cannot have that. Can you understand the general complexity of the situation?
I think, but where does that stop though, Shazad, because if say there was a safeguarding concern about you harming,
Yes.
are you saying that you could not then, or no one could be prosecuted in that situation because you're effectively harming yourself?
No. That's a very good argument to make there. If I was effectively harming myself, let's just put it into those circumstances. Forget this Talib. That's just a service user. If you understand, I as an individual can do whatever I want, but should it be evident that I'm going to self harm? Can you, the local authority, or can there not be any intervention to stop me from self harming? Is it not illegal to commit suicide?
I think it may be.
Yes.
I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But can you understand? But can you understand there are exceptional circumstances that, for example, if I'm harming myself, you, the doctors, can go to the courts and say, look, under these circumstances, because he's effectively hurting and harming himself, that we need to intervene and stop that from happening. So that would be justifiable, but that would be that wouldn't be the norm, would it? So similarly, now coming back to your example, so I represent Talib. Now, if, for example, there is any evidence that, or any suggestion that I'm physically harming him or hurting him or something like this, of course you can then separate us effectively and say, well, under those circumstances, you are obviously under the same circumstances. If you were just harming yourself, there would be intervention. So we have to now necessarily intervene because you're hurting or harming a person, whether that person's yourself or whether that person's Talib or another person. Can you understand? There are always exceptional circumstances where under the rights there are, obviously you have to do away with the normal rights or normal circumstances. As you fully understand, Mr. Browell, we've gone through the coronavirus lockdowns. Those were highly unusual circumstances, but all our freedoms and liberties were taken away from us, and we were on lockdown, told not to go out unless necessary and wear face masks because there were exceptional circumstances. There was a pandemic going around allegedly that was killing people. So there are always circumstances, exceptional circumstances. But can you understand there are also people that believe that those are artificially created as false flags. So the government is trying to take control of us and created the coronavirus and to justify that. And so similarly, the question has to be asked are you doing this genuinely in my best interest or the person's client's best interest, or are you effectively doing what they say is a power grab? And so that's what I find is happening here, is that yes, of course, if my brother is harmed, remember that you, the council, or you, the authority, are accountable to members of the public or the society at large. How would it be the case that if I was harming my brother, all right, and that you stood by and did nothing, would that not be negligent on your part? So you have to clearly do something if that is the case. But alternatively, the other spectrum is this, that in order to target me or to take an advantage, you then effectively are raising false flag events or contrivances, and that's what I feel is happening in my case. Now, I'm not sure if you're a fan of Star Trek, but I am, and I understand the fact that the Captain Kirk, can have his authority taken away from him by the doctors. All right, saying that this captain is no longer fit for purpose, and that's like a naval issue that. Normally, everybody has to follow the direction of the captain, unless under the unique circumstances where the captain's having a mental breakdown and endangering life. And so, similarly, this is what's happening in Putin's case, where they're saying that if we can prove that he's having a mental breakdown, we, the generals, can take over. So, can you understand that? Yes. Yeah, vote of no confidence. Yes, that's right. So there are exceptional circumstances, but can you understand that if people are acting with malevolence, they can automatically use that as a false flag, saying we've got a vote of no confidence. And this, as you can appreciate, I'm not sure you would be following Pakistani politics. But are you aware that that's exactly what's happening in Imran Khan's case? Imran Khan is looking to become re-elected, and obviously they're trying to put him into prison. And as you can appreciate, the same thing is happening with Donald Trump, where people are acting with malevolence against him. So it's a very fine line, and I feel that I've come into that category where the local authority are effectively looking to take control of the situation. And you, the local authority, have previously in August 2018 and August, September, October 2018 tried to remove me as Talib's nearest relative and tried to ask Bev Mabry, the health and well-being director at the time, to be the nearest relative, which is ludicrous because you were attempted to be his nearest relative in the past. Because in law, can you understand, the nearest relative has certain rights, especially in regards to section 2 and 3 of the Mental Health Act. The nearest relative has a right to object. So when I objected when my brother was being unlawfully incarcerated, you, the local authority, pursued legal action through Vicina Brown at the time, stating that I'm not giving him his medication, I've been criminally convicted, I'm not the suitable person to be his nearest relative, and that Bev Mabry, as the health and well-being director, should be the nearest relative. So you've already attempted to do that and eventually failed or withdrawn to do that. Now subsequently you've trying to take over his finances. So we are, unfortunately, Mr. Browell, at this very, very complex case which has been created by you, the local authority. But taking a step back and taking a holistic approach of what's happening here, can you understand, as a local authority, you're financially being advantaged and you have no, you cannot be prosecuted. So just to respond to your case, to argue, the very well argument that you put forward is that if I'm hurting Talib, I can be prosecuted, can't I? And I should be prosecuted if I'm hurting or harming another person. But the converse is not true for you, is it? You, the local authority, under these circumstances cannot be prosecuted. And and you've done this by design.
I'm not sure if it's possible, even if Talib, with capacity, wanted to relinquish all his rights and place someone as his representative. I'm not sure even if that's possible.
Yes, have you not? I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
So I'm not sure even on those grounds, with the person is still a person, there's still a legal entity, and I'm not sure if there is any kind of case in law where someone can, with capacity or without capacity, say that I am no longer a legal entity and I want this person to answer all my questions for me, liaise with them, and they effectively are me. And if you're giving money to me, you're giving money to that person. I don't know if that exists.
Well, let me explain something to you, because obviously, with respect, Mr. Browell, what you're telling me is that is not possible in law, and I'm just going to inform you that effectively is possible in law and is the cornerstone of the legal system. Now, can you understand that? Would such a process be advantageous to someone like Talib?
I don't think it would, because the person still has rights, even if they want to relinquish all those rights.
Okay. Well, let me explain something to you, because this comes back to a bit of history lesson here. What happens if my brother Talib wants to go to war and leave all his property behind? And the reason I say that is because the very foundation stone of English law is based upon this very thing that you've just said here. Is that often what happened is that, I'm sure you're familiar with the Crusades. So English people would obviously go to the Crusades, and so they would have to leave all their rights behind. They can't take their rights with them, can they? So when knights, or when the English people were leaving to go to the Crusades, they then necessarily had to, they still had rights to the land, didn't they? It's not the case that, like, let's just say, for example, Mr. Browell, that you go off to the Crusades to fight a holy war. Now, you've got land and property and a wife and children. What's going to happen to them? All right? If I'm your neighbor, I'll just take over the land. You're not around anymore. And so what happened is that this is essentially the aspect of the law, because you can give your legal authority to somebody else to act in your behalf in your absence while you're gone away into fighting the Crusades. It's that very same law that's the foundational principle on trusts, how trusts are created. All right, and that's hence why I know very much about this law. And so what you're saying here is that I'm not sure if that something like that exists. Well, I can just tell you that something like this does exist, and it's very known by everybody else, and it's called power of attorney. That's where that word comes.
That power of attorney has to work in the person's best interest.
No.
And it's a matter of opinion how that person works in the person's best interest. That person can't just then, even though they've kind of provided lasting power of attorney, then say, okay, well, I'm not going to buy any food for this person. But they said it's okay.
But Mr. Browell,
Stipulations on conditions, even when
no, because
lasting power of attorney.
Let's just the power of attorney. I can grant you power of attorney to handle all my Can I not do that? Can I not hand you my power of attorney to handle all my affairs?
You can do that, but that would still be monitored and would need to be acting in the person's best interest.
Well, no. Right now I can grant you power of attorney.
That person would have more responsibility in a way. It's
Yes.
writing in law that person is being appointed to
Yes.
act in that person's best interest.
So let me explain something. So I can give you grant you, and I'm not doing this, but I can grant you my full power of attorney to handle all my affairs. All right, and we're not talking about lasting power of attorney, which is a statutory law which requires it to be registered with the court with the Office of the Public Guardian. Can you understand? I've been doing this for a very long time before the lasting power of attorney legislation came in. So traditionally, can you understand that my family come from we're Pak immigrants, and we have land abroad and we have land here. So my father would often grant his power of attorney, but that would always be limited. This is why it's very, very important to not grant general power of attorney, limited power of attorney. So I can say to you, Mr. Browell, that I'm granting you my power of attorney to basically deal with my council tax issue. I could do that, and the council will no longer have to deal with me directly. They would have to deal with you as if you were me. All right, so there's no distinction between me and you then, because I've granted you my limited power of attorney in relation to the council tax matter. So as far as the council are concerned, they need to deal with somebody regarding the council tax issue. They can deal with you as they would deal with me. All right, so that's a limited power of attorney, and that's just with anything. I can ask you to go, I can grant you my limited power of attorney to deal with my bank account. So then the bank would no longer have to deal with me, or need to deal with me, or are required to deal with me. They would deal with me, deal with you as if you were me. All right. Now that's a limited power of attorney. Now I can grant you general power of attorney for all my properties and affairs, which would then entitle you not only to deal with all my bank accounts. You can then take out loans on my name. You can effectively bankrupt me. All right, with that general power of attorney, and you would be able in a legal position to do so. Now, what is my recourse under those circumstances? All right. The council cannot going to do anything to you as the holder of my general power of attorney. I could go to the police, all right, but the police are not going to do anything, because they said you had capacity, you granted this person power of attorney. Now, if he's bankrupted you and he's stolen all your money, you then have to do something. So under those circumstances, similarly to the example that I gave you earlier about the knights going in the crusades, they would often hand power of attorney to their heirs or somebody, and often as not, what would happen, Mr. Browell, is this: that the people would abuse their power. They would not act in the donor's best interest, and so when the knights came back, they then needed to obviously challenge what's been happening in their absence. So a particular court was opened by the king called the Court of Chancery. So the courts of chancery have jurisdiction to handle cases regarding abuse of process, because of course, Mr. Browell, people do abuse things, don't they? It's necessary that people don't always act in the best interest of other people, such as in the case of the local authority and my brother or myself. You're not effectively acting in my brother's best interest when you've got all his money and not giving him and exploiting those rights. Now, under these circumstances, that's historically, we could always go to the Court of Chancery, and Chancery judges would hear the knight's complaint. But however, subsequently the laws evolved, and now we have the Court of Protection and the Office of the Public Guardian and so on and so forth. But under these present circumstances, you tell me, Mr. Browell, if I am physically abusing my brother, is it not clear that I can be prosecuted? You can call the police, you can intervene, and have me sent to prison. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, conversely, if you are abusing my brother Talib, what recourse do I have?
I don't know the details. I don't know how you'd go about making a complaint. Like you say, you'd probably have to make a complaint to the local authority themselves. And like you say, there's a certain amount of trust to think that they would process that complaint in the right manner.
But speaking, I've just given you the historical
Maybe
context.
you could go to CQC.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Yeah, the answer is that you've created this or contrived or orchestrated this situation where if I'm doing some wrongdoing or acting against the best interest of my brother Talib, there are ways and means and procedures in place allowing for a remedy. But the fact that the present situation is one, if my brother, do you accept that my brother has a right to, take legal action against you, but there's no remedy available? Is it not the case that, look, you previously put my brother in a car accident, you the local authority, in December 2012. If he was to take legal action against you, how would that go? How would that happen in my absence?
I don't know. I would have thought you'd have to make a formal complaint, or maybe go to CQC or some kind of external body to make a complaint if you're not happy with the complaints process.
No, we're not talking about if I want to take litigation action. If my brother Talib wants to take litigation action against you, the local authority, how would he do that?
I don't know, to be honest. You might have to go to an independent solicitor, something like that, and seek advice from them.
Yes, but the reality is this, that the independent solicitor would then ask the client to give him a legal authority. But that legal authority is not bestowed in Talib anymore. You've got that legal authority. At this moment in time, my brother Talib, unlike anybody else, cannot give a legal authority instruction solicitor, can he? Because he does not have the legal authority. You've stolen that away from him. He cannot go get a solicitor. He cannot take legal action against you. How is he going to do?
Are we talking with regards to finances and the deputy?
No, in anything. Let's just say, for example, that you come over. Let's just say, for example, he wanted to take legal action against you for the car accident that you put him in. All right? Or any kind of legal action. Mr. Browell, I have look, as you can appreciate from this conversation, I have a pretty good understanding of the law, better than most common people. I'm not a solicitor, I'm not being legally trained, but I have a broad understanding of the law. This present situation that's been created and manufactured places my brother in uncharted territory. Hence why we're having problems in the court case with the housing association, because when we ended up in court, my brother needed to be legally represented. And presently, the judge was saying something like, oh, well, you can act as his litigation friend. But unfortunately, I can't act as a litigation friend when he has a deputy in place. Whether that deputy, you understand, is it's an all-encompassing role. You have to effectively, this is one of the problems. Previously, there was a general power of attorney. That would mean that I would deal with all affairs. In relation to the new legislation, the legislation is such that the affairs are divided between specifically health and welfare and property and financial affairs. Anything to do with other than health and welfare is property and financial affairs. So any litigation action that my brother wants to pursue or of damages against you, the council, he would ask a solicitor. But in order for him to ask a solicitor, he needs to have the litigation capacity, and you currently hold his right of litigation because you have his deputy. So can you understand that this is the problem?
So practically speaking, again, we keep on getting at a standstill. That the local authorities on one side and you and your views, and you say Talib's views are on the other, and there's no movement forward whatsoever. I've tried to think that this proposal as a way would be doesn't seem to be making any kind of moves forward at all. I'm just asking where do we go from here? I can't comment on Talib not being able to take litigation action against local authority. I'm just trying to get him access to his money at
Yes,
the moment.
I understand. And can you understand that I added stumbling blocks? It is the council, when you were supposed to draft this letter and send it to me. Unfortunately, you were off on sick leave and stuff, so we've not got that. But you've then gone to the council, and they are, and returning to this problem. The problem here is the fact that you've got this criminal conviction. Hence, why you've then been told that, oh no, we need to directly liaise with Talib. That is an.
I really don't think it is, though.
It is, because why have they asked you?
That was acknowledging your place is your brother's representative, but Talib is still his own person, and
Yes.
I want it recognising that you represent him. And that's whether I can say that's a formal agreement. No, I can't say that, but I want it recognising in written form that it's understood that Talib has money in appointeeships to be able to access that
Yes.
money, then in support with that, and you are the person as his
Yes.
main carer who would support him with
Okay,
accessing
okay.
that money.
Okay, and we agreed upon this. So we agreed upon this. You need to say as Talib's representative. So for example, like in the past, what's happened is that if I get a solicitor right now, because I've obviously not got a solicitor. If I get a solicitor right now, all right, and say, look, and I give my litigation power to or power of attorney. Attorney basically means like legal power. If I give it to my solicitor, can you understand that you and I don't need to speak anymore, do we? All contact will be going through my solicitor.
Okay.
Yes, and so therefore you don't need to speak to anyone. You can speak to my solicitor. He will speak. He will write to you and converse with you. Similarly, Talib, can give an instruction to his solicitor. And if he's giving instruction to his solicitor, you would then, how would you speak to Talib? You would then address that to the attention of the solicitor as Talib's representative. There's nothing stopping you writing that, to me as Talib's representative. Can you understand that right now, if under normal circumstances, if Talib was to give instructions to a solicitor, you would then write to the solicitor, but you would still write to Talib, wouldn't you? You would not be writing to the solicitor's firm, because the solicitor is not your client or your service user. All right, you'd be writing to the solicitor. You would be writing to Talib via the solicitor. You'd be saying, I don't know. Ex-solicitors as representatives of Talib. So why is that any different? Talib does.
Because I think there needs to be a certain amount of good faith that, rather than saying that providing you or anyone else with an absolute green card to be 100% someone's representative, amount of good faith to say we understand that you are acting on his behalf, but you are not that person, and we can't put in writing that whatever you do, we're fine with it. So that's
okay, but that's exactly what you've got. Sorry to interrupt, but that's exactly what you've got. Throughout this process, you would what makes me laugh right now is this, because what you're saying sounds so amicable and reasonable, but can you understand throughout this whole process of the court of protection, which was a case involving Talib was never directly communicated with? Why was Talib directly not told that, hey, look, there's court proceedings, you have a right to represent yourself, and so on and so forth? And can you understand that now you want to say Talib is a legal entity? And I know the fact that can you understand how powerful this is? Because that's exactly what you've done in my mum's case. My mum has all these legal rights. She's a legal entity. But when you wanted to formally deal with my mother, you basically got a green card and got a financial deputy, Miss Veronica Mullins, and you said we don't need to deal with Mrs. Begum anymore. We've got a financial deputy, and we're only going to liaise with the financial deputy from now on. And that was problematic. So similarly, you effectively want this green card for yourself, where we, the local authority, represents Talib's affairs, and we are going to represent him, but then you're failing to do your job and represent him in court proceedings in relation to the housing matter, you are equally then putting him back into court regarding the council tax matter. Can you understand that? Unfortunately, under these circumstances, like I've just given you this example, my brother is effectively absent because of his mental health issues, because of his circumstances. He, like everybody else, has a fundamental right to grant that authority so for somebody to act on his behalf. And yes, there is a risk that whoever you put in charge can abuse that process. That is a foundational principle of of granting authority to somebody else. Effectively, anybody and everybody can and will and does often abuse that process. And there are vehicles available in order to remedy that. This problem has not been created. The conversation that we're having today, Mr. Browell, it's not a problem that's discussing. It's a new problem. This goes back to the Crusades. This problem was relevant in the Crusades. People would give authority to the people. Now, under these particular circumstances regarding my brother has nominated for me to act on his behalf. He's done that numerous times. I've been in charge of his finances through the Department of Work and Pensions. I've been looking after his money for the last 23 years. He's authorized me to do that. He is failing to understand why you, the local authority, are refusing to recognize his particular right to hand his full authority and autonomy to his brother, to the point where your predecessors Baljit Nota and Fungai Machishiri came to hand deliver him money without making me aware. Clandestinely came to visit him at his sister's house in Oldham. I was not there. And my sister brought him to the door. My brother told him, I do not deal with the money. Give my brother Shazad the money. And then they said, no, this is your money. And effectively told him to fuck off. All right. So, it's very, very disingenuine on your part as a local authority, saying there needs to be a level of trust, when the bottom line is that you, the local authority, do not recognize my brother legally as a legal person, independent and sovereign. What you have effectively done now as a local authority, as you have previously done in my mother's case, you have made my brother a private property of the local authority. That's what effectively the position we're in. He is your private property, legally speaking, because he has no legal rights. Those legal rights have been taken away from him and given to you, the local authority. Now, in law, I could also do that. I could put a gun to your head, get you to sign your general power of attorney and act as your legal representative, Mr. Browell. But can you understand that's unlawful, unconstitutional, and it's something that you will never accept, would you? So similarly, that's effectively what you've done in my brother Talib's case. My brother Talib, having full mental capacity, has articulated over and over and over again, I give my brother my money, who's looking after me, who I trust completely. My brother trusts me implicitly and completely. And can you understand why would he not? The only argument that you can make to say the fact that no, we have concerns that you're manipulating your brother, and he therefore or coercing him and to trust you, and we believe that because of the criminal conviction. Because otherwise, why would I need to kind of coerce my brother or manipulate him? Why do you fail to recognize that I am his brother? I'm his family member. I've been his carer for the last 23 years. Prior to that, I've been, obviously his brother all his life. All my life. So it is you, the local authority, who are effectively trying to come in between me and my brother and say the fact that no, look at us. We are a local authority. We are benevolent. We are trustworthy. And yet at the same time, you, the local authority, have been found out to be failing in childcare services and had childcare services taken away from you and forced you to create a trust called the Family and the Children and Family Care, Bradford Children and Family Trust, which is now being created and operational since April. We, my brother and I, we do not trust you. We don't give a damn if you don't trust us. And the reason that you don't trust us, or you don't trust me particularly, is because, as I've explained, I charge £1 million a week and I'm going to whistleblow on your failures in adult social care. And I feel that I'm being bullied and intimidated and threatened effectively, that with threats on my brother's life or on my life, that I should shut up. and not whistleblow. So this is the problem here, where I stand still because you, the local authority, have created and contrived a situation where you have zero accountability, zero liability, and all the money. I have, can you understand? You have zero accountability and zero legal liability right now, and you have all his money, over £100,000 worth. Has that just happened by surprise? Have you slipped and fell into this situation, or have you clearly with intent orchestrated this situation for your benefit? Mr. Browell, can you explain to me how exactly is the council acting in my brother's benefit with the authority that you've got?
I don't know. We're kind of, like I said, there's not really, there's no progress at all, is there? He's not able to even try to act in Talib's best interest because we're, not able to see Talib,
Yes.
not able to
Yes.
provide him access to money or anything. And fundamentally, it's a difference of opinion of yours and the local.
Well, no, it's... Sorry, Mr. Browell, it's not just a difference of opinion. How exactly, I asked you the question, how exactly are you acting in the best interest of my brother Talib? Moving away from that, how exactly have you in the past, the local authority, acted in the best interest of my mother? You effectively made my mother your private property, where you had prevented me from even seeing my own mother, where you were providing her with services and torturing her, and now there's no legal recourse, and now that she's dead. So we have to take those wider contexts into consideration. We have to take into consideration the fact that you, the local authority, were neglecting my brother in the year 2000, forced him into a care home, and then within 3 years he had fallen off a 3-story building, became paraplegic for the next 10 years of his life, and then eventually in 2014, when I was going to whistleblow, you murdered him and tried to frame me for it, eventually sent me to prison. So you, the local authority, and I as this family's representative, have a long-standing history together. We fully understand that you're, as a corporation, acting with malevolence and discriminating against us due to maybe xenophobia, racism, Islamophobia, or whatever it is. I'm not leveling those accusations at you particularly, Mr. Browell. I'm not saying that you're a racist or Islamophobic or a xenophobe. I'm not saying that about you. But what I am saying is that I'm leveling that accusation against the entirety of Bradford Council, particularly the senior management or the decision maker, particularly the decision maker who does not present himself or give me the name of the decision maker. Mr. Browell, simply put, I represent my family. I have been doing this for the last 23 years. I do so under the legal instrument of a family trust that was created by my mother in the year 2000. And the people in my care are not just, I'm not acting in right now as Talib's brother. I'm acting as the trustee, and Talib is a trust beneficiary of the trust instrument. We have a family trust of which the family funds you have stolen. So this is the reality of the situation. I'm comporting myself in a very professional manner because I understand the fact that I have a duty of care to my brother, legally speaking, under the trust instrument. You, the local authority, are acting blindly and saying we don't know what you're talking about, this trust. And the reality is that you did not know about it because I didn't tell you about it, and you were not required to know about it. Bottom line is, Mr. Browell, the local authority wants to know everything. And it cannot, by its definition, know everything. It cannot control everything. You did not know, the local authority, how I was acting, why I was acting in this manner, this benevolent manner, this self-righteous manner in relation to my mother and my father and my siblings. I was acting as a trustee of a family trust under a legal framework, and just for your reference, it's called Paul versus Constant, that have established this trust back in the year 2000, and that's why I've been collecting and acting on their behalf. You have to recognize the trust. You have to recognize myself as the trustee. If you do so, then ultimately your criminal conviction falls apart. You were made aware of the trust instrument or the trust through the criminal proceedings, but you chose to ignore that. You cannot ignore reality and contrive it according to how the council want it. The bottom line is, Mr. Browell, is that you, the council, are not acting in my brother's best interest. He's got no security of accommodation. He's got no financial access to any money for the last number of years. He's got no security of healthcare services. He's got no legal rights. You are not acting in his best interest. However, I am acting in his best interest because I'm financially supporting him, I'm feeding him, I'm clothing him, I'm dealing with his healthcare issues, particularly his, severe constipation that I'm having to deal with. I've mentioned this to you in the past, and obviously we're having recurring episodes where he becomes he starts defecating everywhere. I have to deal with that. I have to deal with feeding him. I have to deal with, cutting his food up for him. I have to deal with all these matters. I undeniably are acting in his best interest, which you, the local authority, cannot and will not accept, because you, the local authority, want to criminalize me in order to abuse your position and authority, because ultimately the local authority should act as servants. And the only reason that you're not acting as servants is you're saying to society that no, under these circumstances, we are, there's no confidence in Mr. Hussain and we are taking responsibility. Just as, Dr. Bones could take over Captain Kirk's ship, you're effectively trying to take over us. All right, and under the false pretense that that I am, there's a vote of no confidence in myself. My family members who have entrusted me give me full vote of confidence. My brother Talib is fully confident in myself. My mother was fully confident in myself. And just in case, my sister who is in Oldham also gives me her lasting power of attorney for property and health, for property and finances and health and welfare. And this is a real problem now, Mr. Browell, because you've removed the lasting power of attorney for my mother. You've removed the lasting power of attorney for my brother, because you're saying that I was criminally convicted against them. You, the local authority and the Office of the Public Guardian, have desperately been trying to remove the lasting power of attorney for my sister, because as it presently stands, I am still a criminal, a convicted fraudster who has in the past, on paper, criminally defrauded my nearest relatives. What is the Bradford Council or what is society or the authorities doing to prevent me from equally doing the same thing to my sister now and stealing all her money? All right, what are you doing to prevent me from doing that? And the reality is that you can't do anything, can you? They've been desperately trying to remove my lasting power of attorney for my sister, whose finances I now manage. So this is the problem, you see, because ideally what you want to say is that this guy's a criminal, he's a fraudster, he's been defrauding his mum and dad and his brothers, all right, send him to prison and remove him so he can never do that again. Unfortunately for you, the council, I'm doing that right now. I'm come back, I'm taking care of my brother, I was taking care of my mother, I'm now dealing with my sister, a vulnerable person who's my sister. Where's my sister's safeguarding? Why is there no safeguarding that right now I am, obviously managing her finances?
Okay.
Can you understand that? This is a problem that you created. You thought it was an easy thing. You, the local authority, thought, oh, it's really, really easy. What we'll do, we will buy off the judges. The judges are in our pockets. We'll buy off the jury. We'll criminally convict him, and then we will come out as the good guys. And you've gone into newspapers and you said, yes, patting each other on the shoulder, saying, we've done a really good job. We've got this dirty little criminal, all right, who's abusing his family members. We've put him into prison, and we've made sure that he's not benefited from his criminality. And you've painted that picture in society, in the newspapers. And now, subsequently, I'm now the living embodiment of your lies and deceptions. So now you're looking to find ways to, we want to do it this way, we want to do it that way. Why won't you tell me the name of the decision maker?
Because I don't know it.
And why do you not know it? Because you work in the corporation. You're deliberately not told who somebody's instructing you, but that person that's instructing you is also taking decisions. There's a decision maker, whoever that decision maker is. Maybe somebody senior, I believe it may be Mark Truin, all right, who's a racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, or is making these decisions. But he's not even his job to make those decisions. It should be made by the collective councillors.
As far as I'm aware, there's not really anyone pulling the strings. The court order's in place. Unfortunately, it's not.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, Alan, sorry, Mr. Browell, are you telling me there's no puppet master? It's only the puppet?
Well, that's the way it feels, yes, really. I'm just trying to find some resolution.
Yeah, I understand.
Nowhere, really.
I understand, Mr. Browell, but can you tell me, are you saying that there is nobody pulling the strings in the background?
Well, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, and you're telling me that, so that therefore, if there's nobody pulling the string, there is no puppet master.
I don't know about that terminology.
Okay, so
You know, I think it might have been the case that it was whilst the court order was going through the courts and things like that. Maybe there were more people senior involved, but as far as I'm aware now, that there isn't. You know, and I try and get advice from legal where
yes.
I can. And that.
But can you understand? Can you understand, Mr. Browell, that there is no other than if you're trying to convince me that Bradford Council is Pinocchio, all right, and it's alive, all right. It's not alive, is it? If the Bradford Council as a legal entity is simply a puppet. It's simply on a string of somebody's making the decisions. It's not alive, all right. And so that therefore, what you're trying to convince me is the fact that there is no decision maker. There has to be a single decision maker. I am the single decision maker in this family. There are my brother Talib, he has rights. There are my sister, all right, who has rights. There was my mother and father who have rights, legal rights and citizens. But we are a collective, we are a family, and we are a family under trust, under a legal trust. I'm a trustee, I make all the decisions. They're all my decisions. Okay, they're all my decisions. Now, under these circumstances, I can make the decision to take out a loan. I can take out £100,000 mortgage on behalf of my sister, and my sister will be legally accountable to that. But I would have all the money. Similarly, you understand, there's I am the decision maker, and then there would be criminal prosecutions against a decision maker because my sister does not make those decisions. I made those decisions. And conversely, that what you're explaining to me is that, oh no, there was this department or this situation, but there is an ultimate decision maker, and I know that decision maker is most definitely Kirsten England, all right. But before Kirsten England, there was, these actions were being taken against me and my family. So there has to be a decision maker, because ultimately, can you understand that when you go to court and you're found guilty of the decision that you've made. When I steal with my left hand, my right hand is innocent. He did not steal. But it doesn't matter. Both my left hand and my right hand and my hands and feet and all my body, all right, the body corpus is going to go to jail because of a decision that was made in my head to commit criminality and commit crime, and therefore I'm guilty of committing a decision. And conversely, you're telling me that the local authority, there is no decision maker. There has to be a decision maker who's making these decisions, who's created an situation which is highly detrimental to myself and is highly beneficial to yourself as the council. You, the council, principally don't have any legal liability, you have no accountability, and you have all of our money. And there's no, and it just happened by mistake today. There has been a conscientious and concerted effort on your part as the local authority. There definitely has to be a decision maker. And the reason that you don't give me the name of the decision maker, because that decision maker is now guilty of excessive crimes, of murder. And that's why you won't give me the name of the decision maker. So, Mr. Browell, we are at this impasse, and nothing's going to, Mr. Browell, you're an intelligent person, nothing's going to get resolved, is it?
It doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't. And ultimately, every day that goes by is a day that me and my brother Talib are suffering. Severely suffering. You know the fact that we've got no money coming in. And at the same time, you, the local authority, are, putting up £2,000 council tax on us. Expecting me, what you, the local authority, want to do. And maybe this is a message that you can back. You're trying to trigger me into doing something. Previously, when you've triggered me to do something, I have wrote to Mr. Mark Truin, and I told him I've taken a kitchen knife and I've slit my mother and my brother's throat. All right? Because that's what you want me to do. You want me to harm and hurt my brother Talib. So you can then come across as the good guys and make me out to be the villain. I am not your monster. I love my brother.
I don't think that is the case. I'm not saying it, whether it's some ulterior agenda in the past, I can't comment on. I don't know enough about it. But as far as I'm aware, there's no kind of hidden agenda.
Well,
It's just a case that there's an appointeeship in place, and he's trying to get
okay.
to access it.
Okay, all right. Well, let me. If you're saying you maybe in the past maybe not aware of this, but you particularly, Mr. Browell, cannot be ignorant of the facts before you. The malevolence was created right in front of you in August last year. So you were involved in August last year, where last year in August I explained to you that I don't want to speak to you anymore. If you remember in that conversation, and my intentions were to end the relationship. All right, in August last year, because you had written out to us, and and there was some altercations. It was at the time when Vicina Brown, your manager, had left, and you had new management. So that was in August. Now something very dramatic has happened in August. All right. In August last year, my unilaterally my carer allowance payments have been removed, and so I've been removed as my getting any money for my carer's allowance. Furthermore than this, at the time there were ongoing proceedings in the courts regarding the housing association, who have then tried to get an order to do a gas safety inspection in August. Everything happened in August last year. All right, so you try to get a gas safety inspection, and that obviously you managed to get the housing association managed to get a penal notice forcing me to for a gas safety inspection, and then that gas safety inspection resulted in a false flag being raised to you that obviously there was concerns regarding Talib, and that obviously resulted. And I told you I did not, and you came down to looking to gain access, and that was denied. And I explained to you that could not happen because obviously the gas safety inspectors did not enter the property. I got a private gas safety certificate done. So that was all coordinated. There was a coordinated effort only last year in August in order to act with malevolence. And then when that typically failed in September, in September, the local authority in the background tried to get my niece Shagufta involved and trying to her to come to visit the property. She came in October. We met up so you could see the fact that my brother's been seen by somebody and there's no concerns. Then in November, my brother Adalat tried to poison us. All right, I made you aware of this. Then in January this year, my niece Shagufta told me that in November they were trying to raise false flags. So Adalat was giving instructions to Shagufta to go to the police that she had concerns regarding my brother Talib. So can you understand that since August last year, numerous malevolent attempts have been made in an effort to effectively state that there is serious concerns regarding the care that my brother Talib is receiving, and that there should be some intervention. And this was our time when in the background, do you remember that you had only come to us I had come to you in October when the letter was presented to us regarding the power of attorney, so the deputyship order, which was made in May, not given to us until November, December last year, which was presented to me in October. But in the background also, in August last year, the GP practice obviously refused to speak to me, and there was some sort of issues and contrivances going on with the GP practice. So, in summary, last year in August, when you were involved, Vicina Brown, I know that for a fact to be a puppet master, got in touch with the GP practices to sabotage my contact with them, which resulted in me lodging formal complaints with them. Also, back in August, the Bradford Council, whoever the decision maker is, had got in touch with the DWP to remove my carers allowance. Also, in the background during this time period, the decision maker had instructed the housing association to make an application to the courts for a gas safety inspection, and the local authority, the decision maker, had instructed the judge in my absence to grant that order. Then subsequently, so this was a coordinated effort, and the reason it was a coordinated effort is because having bore off District Judge Beckley to grant you the property and finance deputyship, the council's intention were to go back to the court of protection to do the welfare case. because that's the problem. You see, you've got the finances, but you haven't got the welfare, and so that hence then for that the local authority, the decision maker, then instructed the housing association at the county court case at the end of November before District Judge Wilcox to have the capacity assessment carried out in January, and that all failed this year. So can you understand when you say to me, oh no, there is no decision maker, there is no concerted effort, Mr. Hussain, you're a conspiracy theorist, all right, and you're acting with delusion and all this other stuff. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy realist, and I'm dealing with the facts on the situation. So there's been a coordinated, concerted effort from August, specifically last year, to effectively remove Talib from my care, so you can then justify that you owe everything that you've done and cover it all up. Unfortunately, in January, the capacity assessment failed once again through no fault of my own, and now we're at the situation where it's like no man's land and we don't know what we're doing now, because the agenda and the narrative was this: you bought off my sister, you bought off my sisters, you bought off my brother Adalat, you bought the council, the decision makers bought off my niece Yugufta, you've then bought off the housing association, you bought off the court of protection, the court of protection judges, the court of protection, the office of the public guardian, you've bought off the judges and everybody else in a coordinated and concerted effort in order to target me, and you bought off the GP practices. So Mr. Browell, there is ample evidence of your endeavours and enterprises of the decision maker to further harm and target me. All right, and the problem you're having is that I'm a very intelligent person, as you would agree with, and the fact that I can see through your lies and bullshits, and I'm here to hold you to account, and you're failing at each step. And this is why we're in this situation in May, June of 2023, because you've just failed in everything. You had failed in getting the court protection issue because I had presented you with an independent mental capacity assessment, and you bought off the judges. So you're in the decision maker, the local authority, are making considerable time, effort, and resources in order to particularly target me and my brother. So when you say to me that, oh, I'm not aware that there's any malevolence taking place, well then, sir, that I say to you that you are deliberately acting with you are deliberately being intellectually dishonest with yourself and with me. You are being intellectually dishonest because you can see, any objective person can see what's happening here. Since August of your involvement, only last year, and I know the fact that you've been involved in this case since October 2021 when my mum was alive, but particularly from August last year, you have witnessed this happen. You had been instructed to come down in October because of a safeguarding alert raised by the housing association, which could not have happened because the gas safety inspectors under penal notice were not allowed to carry out the inspection, because I saw through that bullshit. Okay, my nieces and nephews, my niece and my brother, they attempted to gain access to raise false flag alerts. That all failed miserably. All right, you've subsequently instructed the Judge Wilcox and the courts to get capacity assessment. That's all failed miserably. So how can you say to me now at this stage that there is no malevolence taking place? How can you simply say that?
What I'm saying is, at this moment in time, I'm not aware of any orders in place now. I think that was part and parcel of trying to assess Talib's capacity. As far as I'm aware now that the court order's in place, I don't think it's the cases of particular interest with regards to any kind of machinations or anything like that. I'm not aware that it was before, but I'm certainly not aware of anything at the moment. I think.
But is it not correct that at this moment in time, because of your contact with myself and your limited remit, that if there was any machination or ill will or ill intention or malevolence, you would not be made aware of it, would you?
I probably won't, but
yes.
I just don't. I'm the one who's having to kind of seek any advice and kind of a way to move forward from the local authority side. So I don't think, before it was, I was kind of, it wasn't me who was having to seek that advice. It was kind of there were regular meetings and things like that, and now that isn't the case. Whether that's because the court order's now in place, so it's kind of like, well, the order's there in place. There's two main issues. From my side, the way I see it is that I'm not able to see Talib, and also he's got a lot of money in appointeeships, and he's not getting access to that for whatever reasons, depending on your perspective. So that's pretty much what the situation is from my point of view, and that's all I'm party to. And I don't think there's anything more to it, really.
Well, thank you for that summary. You've mentioned the fact that there were previously lots of meetings going on. There's nothing outstanding right now, and those previous meetings have resulted in a situation where my brother Talib there's no resolution brought to my brother Talib. Those previous meetings have not resulted in you meeting my brother Talib, or previously resulted in my brother getting access to any money, have they? My brother's not got any access to any money, particularly since we were made homeless in February 2021. All right, so that's not happened. So all those meetings that you've had are resulted in nothing, but they have, the reason that nothing is presently ongoing is because you've exhausted all your avenues. There is nothing else to exhaust, is there? The only way that you're going to be able to progress things is if you put in a false flag, artificial contrivance that my brother's health and safety is in danger and you need to take steps. So you're sitting on the back benches waiting for this to happen, and it's not happened as yet, and I'm sure the decision makers scratching their heads is like, well, we've taken away all this guy's money, we've not given him access to any healthcare services, how is he still doing this? So you're effectively...
The thing is that, I don't, there's a similarity to compare to, the situation with your mum and things like that, and I don't know the full details of that. You've explained a lot about that. I don't think that's similar issue there with Talib. I don't think that there is any kind of, whether there has been in the past, that kind of end goal to separate you and Talib. I myself think that you're the best carer for Talib. You're his brother. You should be together. You should be able to support him with his money and finances and everything else. I don't think that there's any other kind of anything else. It would be more problematic, and it wouldn't be in Talib's best interest. And I think that's kind of understood. As far as I'm aware, that's just understood now.
But Mr. Browell, personally, on a personal note, that I'm highly emotionally moved on the fact that you've actually said that to me, that you believe that I'm the best person for Talib. That I don't think you've ever said that to me before. And as a representative, and I know that's your personal opinion, but obviously that is an opinion that must be shared by the council, because obviously you've not met my brother Talib, you've not met me since October. We've had one interaction where we've met physically, where you've come down, but you have then equally concluded the fact that I'm the best person for my brother, and that I'm obviously thank you for that. That is like a very positive, that's a very positive move on your part to recognize that I am the best person for him, because unfortunately my brother has no other family other than myself now. Obviously he's got other siblings, but they're all nefarious and working as proxy agents for you, the council. He's got a vulnerable sister that also cares and loves him, but she herself is very ill and has mental health problems in Oldham. So yes, I am the best person for this post. But in the absence, when you said that nobody's trying to separate us now, but can you understand, Mr. Browell, I have to take into the context of all the things that have been happening. You, the local authority, have tried to remove me from my mother's life and have achieved that through a court order from a high court judge. And this was not just a district judge Beckley. This was a very senior judge in the high court, Mr. Justice Cobb and Mr. Justice Cohen, who have saw it fit to make me and my brother effectively make us homeless, denied me access to my mother at the height of the pandemic. So yes, previous attempts have been made, and all I'm trying to state is that a concerted effort has been made, not today, not in the month of May, not in the month of April maybe, or not even in the month of maybe, but in the month of prior to January, the meeting in January, I think January the 12th, prior to January the 12th, 2023, and particularly from August 2022, a very concerted effort has been made to have me removed from my brother Talib's life. That effort has been made, and that effort is a continuation of the concerted effort that had been made in August, September, and October 2018, when my brother Talib was abducted from my care and put into Linfield Manor Hospital under a mental health section, and you were denying me access to see my brother, and Vicina Brown was pursuing litigation action to have me removed as nearest relative, and you were saying the fact that there was allegations being thrown around that I may have been abusive to my brother. So there was a concerted effort in August, September, and October to remove me from my brother's life. That all abysmally failed. In December, my brother was discharged into my services. On the 12th, I believe, or the 15th of December 2018, when my brother Talib was discharged into my services from the hospital, the Care Trust, the local authority, had instructed West Yorkshire Police to get in touch with Greater Manchester Police to antagonise us and try to do a welfare check then. So there has been a concerted effort, I would argue, from 3rd of August 2018 until the 12th of January 2023 to remove me. All that has failed. So there has been a concerted effort to remove me from my brother Talib's life. Now at this stage, the local authority have to take into consideration the murder of my mother, all the other things, all the other shenanigans that have been happening, and the fact that there is no other avenue for the local authority to explore. You cannot explore the avenue of having my brother placed into my brother Adalat's care. Alright? That obviously may be on the book still, but there's nobody else. My sisters in Bradford will not take care of my brother Talib. My niece will not take care of my brother Talib when she would not even take care of her own disabled brother. Adalat is not fit for purpose. I've made allegations against him. So unfortunately for you, and very fortunately for my brother, there is no one else that's going to take on the caring responsibility for my brother. You alternatively would have to then put him into a care home and at a cost which is obviously not in my brother's interest, and you've attempted to do that in October, November 2018 when you had him in your care and custody. That all failed because you recognize that he has capacity, and he said that he does not want to go into a care home. Subsequently, in April 2019, Vicina Brown has interviewed my brother, established that he has mental capacity, and he has stated that he wants to be with my sister. So he himself, having mental capacity, which you have recognized, knows the fact that he does not want to go into institutionalized care. All right, so that's not an option open to you. You cannot remove me as they normally do, remove the head of the household to replace me with someone. You've got no one to replace me with. So therefore, we're in this situation where you are left with no other avenue but to state that presently we feel that he's in the best place because you're caring for him. Can you understand that you, the local authority, over the 5 or 10 years, have done everything in your power to negate that? So now you've got no other option but to say, presently we feel that he's in the best care in your care and custody. But then, can you try to resolve this for me? How can it be that he's in the best care and custody when the person that's caring for him has been criminally convicted of defrauding him finances and sent to prison? How do you comport with that?
That is in the past, and that isn't reason enough why a person can't still be in the care of the family. But that doesn't mean that, as I said, that there's no kind of responsibility of the council or anything else to completely, just say that's fine and completely not monitor whatsoever. It's just to say, that's in the past. Move forward.
Okay. Well, you know what, Mr. Browell, can you understand that if that was the position of the local authority, or if that was the position of society at large, all right, I would accept that. But I have to take into consideration other ongoing aspects. So one of the things is this: that moving away from Talib, my mum had died last, in January 2022. She left a will. Now, according to those will, you're right, nobody wants to recognize that I am my mother's, my mother left me a will. All right. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to negate that. Now, only but a couple of months ago, I have told my mum's like solicitors, or who were my mum's solicitors, or who were the financial deputies, that look, in order for me to instigate the probate process, obviously I need your cooperation. I need you to disclose to me all the correspondence that you've been receiving, and particularly my mother's finances. Now, can you understand that that's a financial deputy? Ordered by the Court of Protection, just like you're now the financial deputy, you the counsel and the financial deputy for Talib. There was a court-appointed financial deputy for my mother, Ramsden Solicitors. Now, Ramsden Solicitors no longer have any legal authority following my mum's death. That court order expired when my mum died, so they have no legal authority to deal with my mother's anything relating to my mother, because my mother's now dead, and their role as financial deputy ended the day that my mum died. Now, subsequently, my role as the executor of her will kicks in. Now, I've tried to liaise with the local, with the Ramsden solicitors, and said, look, now that my mum's died, please can you liaise with me and grant me, permission, or recognize me. And they're the solicitors, or which are the financial deputy solicitors. Ramsden solicitors are saying, well, we have concerns to disclose your mum's records to you now that she's dead or been murdered, because we know the fact that you've previously been criminally convicted. So, with respect, Mr. Browell, my mum's now dead. Alright, I've made allegations that she's been murdered under a joint enterprise. I've gone to the solicitors, and now this is a solicitor's firm, not you who's a social worker, or now acting as a proxy agent for the council. This is a solicitor's firm who are saying to me that we don't want to liaise with you, or we don't want to recognize that your mum left you a will, alright, and making you the executor because of the criminal conviction. And these are ongoing conversations that I'm having only but a month ago with the solicitor. So with respect, Mr. Browell, you, the council, can now state that in the case of my brother Talib, who's still alive, who I'm still actively engaging with, that your criminal conviction, that was some time ago, that was in the past, we're not concerned about that now. However, another legal entity or officialdom or a solicitor's firm are stating that no, we're still concerned, because even though your mum is dead, and even though the fact that we have no active engagement with your mother's case because she's dead, and the fact that we're holding on to this information, we don't want to engage with you, or we don't want to give you that information, because we don't want to recognize you as your mother's executor or representative, because we know that you've been criminally convicted. So can you understand? I have to take so conveniently, when it serves your purpose, you say the criminal conviction now, Mr. Hussain, is live in your mind. But as far as the council's concerned, that we've washed our hands of that. We've got what we wanted. That's in the past. We don't want to discuss that anymore. All right. We want to deal with the situation today.
That's my opinion and my knowledge. I don't know anything with regards to your mum's will and things like that. So I don't.
Yes. I
understand.
But all I was trying to say is that you, the local authority, that's your present position as the local authority. But can you understand that that's not the present position of another authority, like officialdom, like the solicitors? And and with regards to the fact that there is a criminal conviction, you cannot simply ignore it. You simply cannot. All right, you cannot say it's in the past, we've dealt with it, because I have been criminally convicted. And this person still caring for me. So the question I asked you is that, having stated that you feel justified, that and fully satisfied that he's receiving the best position to receive the best possible care for Talib, and that's the best position for him. How do you resolve that that's now been provided by somebody who you, the council, have criminally convicted of defrauding this very person? Sorry, what I'm trying to say is that on the one hand, you're stating to me now in end of May, start of June 2023, that you're satisfied that Talib is receiving the best care available to him right now. That's what you've stated, haven't you?
Yes,
yeah. Along those lines, you're.
To be honest, I've always been of that opinion.
Okay, so but I'm just asking, but that's your personal opinion, and is that opinion shared by Bradford Council?
I think I don't know in the past, but I think the opinion is that, you know, you are his main carer, and that any other action, as far as what can go on, would not be proportionate to try and
Yes.
change that situation.
Yes, yeah, okay, all right. But so that's the opinion of the council as well, yes?
That's my understanding.
Yes, but can you understand? Yes.
Reading between the lines.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, all right. But can you understand that? So the reason that they are very, very conscious and cautious is because that was exactly the same situation in regards to my mother. I was my mother's carer. My mother was in the best position possible to receive the care that she was, particularly given the pandemic, and you interfered, and she ended up dying within a year of you taking care of her. So I couldn't understand why the council is very, very hesitant to do anything or actively right now, because what they've done previously, they've done active things in the past. They've removed me as a financial deputy, and then they proceeded to do health and welfare actions, and that has resulted in the premeditated murder or preemptive death of my mother. So can you understand that any reasonable person, if the local authority has any sense about it, would not look to interfere or do something actively, because when they've done something actively in the past, they've ended up in a fatality. So, for example, if you were to take my brother, it could easily end up with another fatality. And how is the council gonna excuse that? You already can make excuses now regarding my mother, but subsequently my brother is heavily dependent upon myself. And I just want to make you aware, Mr. Browell, that yes, my brother's needs are on a spectrum at the highest end. All right, and in my absence, because I have a lot of holistic knowledge and background and experience of my brother, you would effectively, if you take me out of his life, you would effectively ending his life prematurely, and he would die very shortly. And that is exactly what happened in my mum's case. So yes, I play a pivotal role in this, and it would be very, very negligent on your part as the council to interfere with us. But as it presently stands, not interfering with us is also negligent. But the question I asked you, Mr. Browell, is this, is that if you, the council, are satisfied that he's presently in the best care and situation, because if you disagree with that, then you have to do something. And you cannot do something because of the fear or the hesitancy, because it's already led into a fatality previously, potentially and most likely is going to lead to another fatality. So you have to, as a council, not you personally, but the council has to state the fact that he's presently, in the best receiving the best care, or in the best care possible for Talib, considering all things considered. But then the question arises is that how do you then, as the council, reconcile that with the fact that the person that's providing him with the best care that Talib's now receiving has previously been criminally convicted of financially abusing Talib and sent to prison with the intention of the council to lock me away for 10 years, and would have negated on receiving the care that he's presently receiving?
So I would say that the appointeeship is in place, so that is the same.
Oh, that call ended. Oh, it's dropped. Let's see if he rings back. Okay, so he's gonna ring me back on this phone. I'm sorry about Mr. Browell. I think the call just dropped. And I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say that we should really look to end the call now, because we've been on the call for I think over an hour, and I've got other things to do. So can we look? I mean, you were just explaining to me the fact that you feel that the council feel reconciled now because there's a safeguard in place regarding the court order. Yeah, the appointeeship. But it's still, but because as a result of that appointeeship, my brother's not getting any access to any money though. So he's now at risk. And the fact that should he get any money, all right, that money is going to come back to me. Because obviously I've incurred a lot of costs, and I incurred the ongoing costs, and also the problem remains that my brother Talib does not deal with the finances. So
I mean that would be part of the proposal. Would be any reasonable costs, you would be able to say, this is where you've spent money over it doesn't say how many weeks or months, but any reasonable recent costs. If you were able to say where that money's been spent, you'd be able to say how you've spent that money. You wouldn't need receipts, and then that would be able to be paid.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Okay.
Supported by yourself.
Okay, and did you say that I need to provide the receipts?
No, you wouldn't need to provide receipts.
Okay, all right. But I would then have to manage the finances, wouldn't I?
So if that cost has been incurred by yourself, then you would be able to, if you can explain, maybe in writing or if you'd be able to explain how those costs have been incurred by yourself, then as long as that sounds reasonable, then that money will be provided.
Okay.
Well, I suppose that would be the stumbling block,
yes.
Whether that money could be provided direct to you. But that could be provided.
Okay.
And then ongoing, then if there is a budget saying how much is the reasonable cost week to week, and again, that money could be agreed without receipts being required.
Okay. But can you we had this conversation last time. I just envisioned these problems because, like, for example, let's just say, I buy food. I go to the Morrison's shop and buy £10 worth of food. All right, I've got the receipt. Now, if I give you the £10 worth of receipt, your argument could be, well, how do we know that you've not eaten all the food? How do you spell that? How do you split?
So what I'm saying, you wouldn't need to provide receipts. So if it's backdated money that's owed to yourself, now, again, I'd have to kind of revisit this to see whether it could be paid direct to you, because if the costs have been incurred by you, but the idea is that a lump sum of money will be able to be paid on recent reasonable costs incurred by yourself.
Okay, all right. So sorry, I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to envision this. So, for example, I've gone to the Morrisons to do £10 worth of shopping. All right. Now, are you going to pay the £10? But what happens the fact that if it includes £2 is for food for me? All right. Because obviously I'm not going to get a separate receipt, am I? Or separate expenses for Talib and myself. So, it's household expenses. So where is that line being drawn? I go to the shop and I pay £10, do £10 of shopping. How will you justify, or how will you recognize that, £2 is, for me, and £10, £8 is for my brother, or it's £5, £5, or it's all for Talib, it's all for me?
Well, with costs that's already been incurred, then that would be, if you've had to support Talib financially in the absence of him not having his own money, then that would be, like I say, explaining how you've incurred those costs.
Yes.
And then that will be paid as a lump sum.
Okay, just one second, Mr. Browell. Let's not talk about the past. I'm just trying to look at the situation tomorrow. So tomorrow, I'm going to go to shopping for £10 at Morrison's. Let's just deal with the situation. So I just clearly have it understood in my head. I've got the receipt. All right, but some of those items are mine. Some are my personal items. Like I may buy, I may buy, a shaving equipment or personal deodorant. All right, to be used on myself, including other items that I've bought for Talib, and some of those items are household items. Now, how exactly are you proposing to pay me the full £10, or are you proposing to pay, some of the money, or what?
I think that will be more difficult because then you're basically saying that kind of Talib's benefits are paid for you and Talib rather than just paid to Talib.
Yes.
Rather than that, if it was an agreed a certain amount of money of what budgeting would usually cost Talib, that agreed budget per week would not need any receipt.
But an agreed budget has to be something that you would consider reasonable. Now, just coming back to this example that I told you about, tomorrow I'm going to go to Morrison's, and let's just say, for argument's sake, that I'm going to buy everything for Talib. So it's 100%, everything is for Talib, nothing's for me. It's £10 spent. Then it's a bit more clear cut in it. That £10, Talib expended it, and you should pay for it. Do you agree that is more clear cut, isn't it?
Talib's, say that again.
So So tomorrow I go to Morrison's and I spend £10 on food and items solely for Talib. All right. And I present you with a receipt and I say, look, this is what all the items that we bought and they're all for Talib, and you agree that they're all Talib's receipts. Would you agree that that's a very simple thing that you should then pay me £10?
Yeah, but I would have thought that, you know, again, this is my own opinion. First, you know, if it was for an agreed budget, you wouldn't need to provide the receipt. You would need to save the receipt.
Okay.
But if that budget is agreed, then say if Talib buys the shopping and Talib is okay for you as an agreement between yourselves that he buys the shopping and you also have that food as well, then that's
okay.
Already, that budget's already been agreed.
Yes. But the problem, you know what the point I'm trying to make here is that buying the items, going to Morrison's and buying the items I may be able to give you a receipt for the cost of expend, but there are other auxiliary costs that are not being put into consideration. Now, one of those auxiliary costs are the fact that I'm using my vehicle, all right, to take my to go to Morrison's and back. That's obviously there's cost. Just 1 second, sir. Just 1 second. So there's costs in relation to the mileage on the vehicle, the wear and tear on the vehicle. All right, that's also being taken into consideration and incurred for this one trip to Morrison's. So that would be my costs. So in addition to the £10, which I can evidence and receipt evidence to you that this is 100% Talib's cost, there are other costs that are being incurred that would be being incurred by in this transaction. So for example, my travel costs, but you could then say, well, that can't be quantified, you need to go take a taxi. All right, so but then Talib would not be taking a taxi, I would be taking a taxi. So just in addition to this, can you understand, then ultimately there is my time, all right, which is not being remunerated, because if Talib was to go to Morrison's and spend £10 and give you the £10, you could pay Talib that. But the reality, the problem we're going to have is that when I take Talib to Morrison's in my car, all right, I am going to obviously want payments for my travel, my wear and tear of my vehicle, all right, the fuel and mileage of my vehicle. But more importantly, Mr. Browell, the problem is going to arise under this very, very simple scenario: going to the shops and getting £10 worth of food. I'm going to also say that should also not disadvantage me, and my time and resources, my labor cost, need to be also put into that calculation. And then, as you know,
that's where we'd have the difficulty.
Yes.
Like, I don't think it'd be possible to say as part of that budget there's labour costs.
Yes, and that's the
yes. Any costs incurred by yourself.
Yes.
Wear and tear.
Yes.
Then I think that would be reasonable.
Yeah, no, but obviously it would be reasonable. But can you understand that you're negating the fact that Talib has not gone to the shop to get to do the shopping? I've gone. All right. So my time has been taken up. So that's only reasonable if my vehicle. Can you understand that? We're back to square one here. The problem remains is that you're quite happy and you recognize, and ultimately in businesses recognize that, for example, like, I'm not sure. Do you use your own vehicle?
There might be a way. Like, there might be a way around that in some way, but that will be some kind of way of saying that there's a certain amount of money that is there for Talib to either for taxis or to pay you to go to the shop, if to pay towards wear and tear and things like that. Which should, again,
yes.
Way to kind of word that.
Yes. Yes,
that
but
money,
but Mr.
to actually say that it's being paid. Here's £10. Here's £10 to spend at the shop, and here's £10.
Yes.
That'd be more difficult to word, but
yes.
That'd be the way.
Yes.
That'd be reasonable.
Okay, Mr. Browell, but can you understand? Can I just ask, do you have a work vehicle, or do you have a private vehicle?
A private vehicle.
Okay, so when you travel to come to our house, you travel in your private vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, and who pays for that cost?
I do. I could claim it back.
Yes.
If I go on very long journeys, I'll claim mileage
yes.
back.
So for example, when you travel to Oldham several times to see my brother, did you travel in your own vehicle?
I can't remember if it was my car or someone else's.
Okay.
Whoever travelled could have claimed that back.
Yes, and when they have claimed that back, is it not established in society? There's a rule that it's about 50 pence a mile or 60 pence a mile.
employing you. That's a different matter.
No.
I'm sure it'll be possible to ring-fence certain amount of costs, and there's going to be some leeway that.
Yes.
And you wouldn't need any receipts, but to actually say that you're being employed, that'd be more difficult because
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure whether.
Okay, but can you understand that? So when you were traveling to either Talib's house here in Bradford into Oldham, there were your everything was being done properly, wasn't it? Your time was being remunerated. The cost of your vehicle you could claim back, so you were not left in a negative in any regards, were you? You were the time that you were traveling from Bradford to Oldham, you were being paid for that time, and also any cost incurred through the use of your own private vehicle.
But then you're getting into things like employment law, aren't you?
No, just hold on. Yeah, no.
It's possible to kind of like say that Talib is employing you. Again, that's where the good faith and the kind of you're his, in a way, informal care.
Yes.
That would be.
Yes. But
Talib has money, and he should be able to spend that.
Yeah,
and some of that money to you if he so wishes.
So can you understand, Mr. Browell? This is a central problem that is going to exist and has existed since my brother was discharged back into the community in 2005. This is the fundamental problem here, because ultimately what was happening, and I would return this, and obviously that is what the result of the criminal conviction was, is regarding that you've said that in the past, we've gone down this route in the past, and this time we're talking about his benefit money, but in the past you've recognized that Talib has certain rights, social care rights, so you put a budget together, and that budget was for £410, which I had to argue on behalf of my brother, because we were not getting him paid. So this was not his DWP benefit money, this was his care, social care money of direct payments, which you, the council, then failed to regularly audit and allow to accumulate. But the problem was still the same. You were effectively asking me to hire agencies, all right, on behalf of Talib and pay the agencies. And the problem remained is that your Talib is not then managing the finances. I am managing the finances. I'm basically accepting money on behalf of Talib into an account in Talib's name or my name. I'm then using my skills and resources in order to pay invoices to the care agencies, or subsequently pay private employees and stuff. So can you still understand that is the fundamental problem here? Is that once again Talib does not do anything. I'm the one that's doing anything, and my time and resources are not being remunerated. That is a fundamental problem that we're still having since 2005, because ultimately what. So ultimately, obviously I've explained to you, so since my brother was discharged before Alison Guy, who was a manager at the time, that I clearly stated when my brother was discharged in 2005 that I want to be remunerated for my time and effort. And as you can...
That would need to be an informal agreement between you and Talib.
No.
We would set a budget amount, and you would argue what that money is.
Yes.
And then once that money is provided, that's between you and Talib.
No, but the thing is, then what safeguard do you have in place from me stealing the money?
Are you trying to argue yourself out of the same thing?
No.
I'm saying that there isn't, and we're talking about good faith.
Yes. So this is the problem. You see, you're now relying on good faith, when in the past we've relied on good faith. I've relied on good faith on you, the council, and you criminally convicted me. I was doing all this on good faith, all right? All I said was, I want you to give me an employment contract back in 2005 for £22,000. That's what I thought was reasonable for my time and effort in managing Talib's finances and everything.
That's where there's a problem, isn't it? Because if say now there was if we said you're going to be remunerated for mileage and things like that, and being paid for being a carer, if you were to fall over and break your leg, you would then be able to litigate against Talib or whatever.
Yes.
Because you're an employee.
Yes.
That's a different matter. But it's Talib's money, and if you can provide a budget between you and Talib, and then you could say whether it's £400 a week, and say this is how it's going to be spent. It's going to be spent on household costs, household bills, things like that, and then Talib wouldn't wouldn't need to provide receipts. You'd have that in a budget letter. This is £400 a week that was agreed on that budget, and you're
Yes.
not there to support Sally to spend that money how he sees fit.
Okay, on based informally acting on good faith.
Well, yeah, but it would actually there'd be a letter saying that that's how much money Sally's got. He needs to, as you say, dissipate his finances.
Yes.
That's the agreement. Okay, it's a bit of an informal agreement, but there's a letter to say that there's £400 a week going, and we're not going to then say how is this money being spent. Obviously, if it was thought that Sally wasn't getting any food and none of it was getting paid towards bills or anything like that, then that might be called into question. But
Yes.
as long as
Okay.
that was there were no concerns, then that would be the agreement.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
You told us how that's going to be
yes.
spent.
Okay.
We don't need to now ask for any receipts.
Okay, that's fair enough, because you understand, because if I give you receipts, that's an extra burden upon myself and also an extra burden upon yourself, because what you're going to do with those receipts, somebody has to sit down and go through those receipts, so that's more time and resources. So, but can you understand the proposition, the proposition you're putting forward is this, if I'm correct, you want to arrange informal arrangement based on goodwill and on trust.
Yes.
Okay, but can you understand? I don't want that. I don't want an informal arrangement.
I'm using the word informal. I'm saying that a formal arrangement would be agreed in terms of what a budget is and how that money's going to be spent, and there wouldn't need to be receipts to prove that.
No, but just a minute ago you said if under the circumstances the way I'm presenting it, if I break my leg, I can then take litigation action against Talib or yourself, can't I?
I don't know whether that's the case. Are you using that as an example?
No, but that's a good example, because that way at least I'm protected, aren't I? Because if something happens to me, I have an avenue to take litigation action. Because look at this. Through this formal arrangement, which is gonna then be informal based on trust. If you're gonna give money to Talib or through a budget, which I'm obviously gonna have to manage, and you're not gonna ask any questions or not gonna ask any receipts. But at some stage, when I go and whistleblow on the failure of the local authority, generally, or do whatever I try to do to challenge the local authority, then you could then say, well, actually, we're gonna now look into this, and we want to know if you've been acting and you can abuse that position, and you can take legal action against me, can't you? Because you said the fact that we're going to give you a budget, and as long as we don't have any concerns, we're not going to ask any questions. But if you do have concerns and you do start asking questions, is it not the case that you then have a legal remedy? You have the Fraud Act 2006, which you can utilize against me in the future. You could do that, couldn't you?
Surely if it's written by appointeeship and saying that this is the agreed amount, you'd be able to then provide that letter and say, hang on a minute, this is what has been agreed, and there's a letter.
Yes, but the letter stated that this is what's been agreed, but where do you get the evidence that I'm giving the money to Talib? Once we've agreed a contract, what's stopping me from not giving Talib any food or anything like that and taking the money myself?
Well, there wouldn't be, but that's
yes,
why
no.
If Talib, for instance, turned up at a GP appointment and was wearing old clothes,
yes,
he was emaciated,
yes,
you were living in the house with no gas and electric,
yes,
and that all this was part of the agreement that he
yes,
paid towards the bills, then they might have to say, right, we might need to reconsider that.
Okay, but
it wouldn't be a case of kind of going for legal action. It'd be a case of questioning and saying,
why wouldn't it be? But can you understand, under the circumstances you're proposing, I have accountability and liability, don't I? I am accountable and liable. So even in this informal arrangement or a formal arrangement, whatever kind of thing you're proposing, accountability and liability falls on my shoulders, doesn't it?
When you say accountability, as his carer, but that,
yes,
that's not as unfortunately that's not as his employed carer, no.
Yeah, no, but still, not formally, because if I was legally employed, if I had legal employment rights, then obviously that would protect me, and that's what I would want. That's what I've been asking for since.
Then you're talking about direct payments. We're not talking about
No, we're not talking.
The amount of money that Talib's been paid, which is a significant amount of money.
I know. Mr. Browell, we're not talking about direct payments. We're just talking about my rights. Because obviously, why would I want to get myself into a situation where I have accountability and liability without any protection? Why would I want to? Why would I agree to?
As long as you know, like you say, as long as you've got that Cali's best interest at heart, which I believe you do, then there will be no reason why that accountability will be called into question.
But the reality is that irrespective of whether the accountability is brought into question or not, I still have accountability, don't I? If I'm
Not in the form of having to provide receipts.
Yes,
no.
that's right. No, that's right. But generally speaking, I have a fiduciary duty, don't I? Then you're placing a fiduciary duty upon me. A fiduciary duty basically means that I have to act in the best interest of somebody.
Well, as Talib's brother and main carer, you
Yes.
would expect that. I'm not saying that's a legal duty. That's just what you'd expect.
Yes. But can you understand so can you understand that? But if I'm putting myself under a fiduciary duty or putting myself to be accountable for somebody, I should equally be remunerated. No, there should be some protection for me. That is the fundamental problem.
Then we're talking again about changing the laws of the land.
No, we're not. We're not changing the laws of the land. I'm asking you to recognize the fact that because what you're saying effectively, Mr. Browell, and this is what's the aspect I'm going to highlight. You're effectively railroading or forcing me or under duress to work for you, the council's best interest and benefit, because that's slavery. So the law of the land does not need to change. That there's laws against slavery.
Oh, come on, Dad. You're not being reasonable, are you?
I'm not being, Mr. Brown. With due respect, this is the definition of slavery, is it not? To force somebody to do something without
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be Talib's main carer.
Okay, just hold on a second. You're saying I don't have to be my brother Talib's carer, and I would say that I am forced to be Talib's carer. And the reason I'm forced to be Talib's carer is this: because I know through experience that if I'm not his carer, then you, the local authority, will have to take care of him. And I know for a fact that through numerous 20 years of experience that you've endangered and ended my brother's life, you've endangered and ended my father's life, you've now endangered and ended my mother's life. So the choices before me are this: either I continue to care for my brother, knowing the fact that he will stay alive, or alternatively refuse to care for him, put him into your hands and clutches so you can end his life. I would argue that that is force then, because that's not a choice, is it? The choices are this: either I continue to care for him free, or hand him over to you and you can kill him off.
Yeah, but when you say like what? Basically, in the letter it says reasonable recent cost. So it's a question of how far would that go? So would it be 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years? How much does it cost you to pay bills, to keep food in the house and things like that? So I don't know. I could try and argue a case for a significant amount of money for you to be reimbursed. You wouldn't have to provide any receipts for that. So, a significant amount of money. I don't know what.
Okay.
5,000, 10,000, 20,000, who knows?
Okay.
I don't know.
Because you see, once again, I'm dealing with the nitty gritty details where you're asking in vagary. So this is how the council want to operate. They want to operate in vague terms, in informal setups, in goodwill gestures, and this is not the way that a local authority should be operating. Now, for example,
it's benefits money, so it's Talib's benefits money.
Yes.
So the council can't say, we're going to take Talib's benefits money and pay that as a wage to Shazad. What they would be able to do is, what's the costs incurred and what are the ongoing costs going forward?
Okay, all right.
We can agree that Talib's got that as his budget, and then he can see how how he wants to spend that money.
But can you?
Just common sense.
Yes.
Asking for anything more is just not.
Oh, not common sense. Okay, all right. Oh, okay, sorry, Mr. Browell. The reality is this: that you are deliberately, as a council, looking to frame it in a situation which is to your advantage and to your best interest, not into Talib's best interest. Because what you're saying here is that we're not. This is Talib's benefit money, but we're in charge of it now. But because you're in charge of Talib's benefit money, you are also paying yourself the cost of administration, aren't you? You have told the Office of the Public Guardian that we're going to take his benefit money and we're going to, because we're in charge of his benefit money, we're going to now administer his benefit money through the court of protection and regularly pay the Office of the Public Guardian money. So not only do you use his benefit money to pay the Office of the Public Guardian for the annual returns that you're putting in place, you're using his benefit money to pay yourselves as well. So I'm sorry, Mr. Browell, if you're saying that I'm acting unreasonably, I would argue that point the finger at yourself first.
I'm not saying you're acting unreasonably. I said it's unreasonable to think that there will be agreed to a wage to be paid out of Talib's benefit.
But how?
And that will more have to be an informal kind of thing
Yes,
between you and Talib.
but can you understand that right now you the local authority are acting as his financial deputy. You are paying out of his money costs to the Office of the Public Guardian. All right. In my experience, that's about £350 a year. All right. That's ongoing that you're paying the Office of the Public Guardian from his money, and also you're paying yourself a reasonable amount that you've dictated is reasonable for your administration of his finances. So what I'm trying to say here, Mr. Browell, is that there is an administrative cost, there are maintenance costs that you are not looking to, you're saying that are invisible. All right, that you, the local authority, have administrative costs. You now, because you're paying public money to administer his property and finances, you are paying yourself money. You are remunerating from Talib's money.
That's part of the court order.
Yes.
Again, that's out of my hands.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Mr. Browell, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that why do you, the local authority, recognize your ongoing administrative costs, all right, and have in place remuneration for your administrative costs, yet fail to recognize my administrative costs because Talib cannot administer things, and also fail to recognize my care costs? All right. Here's another way that I mean, can you understand? You're failing to recognize. You're being disingenuine when you're failing.
Look, I'm just speaking of my own personal opinion. I can go back and ask about administrative costs.
Yes.
Personally, I wouldn't be too hopeful, but maybe there is some agreement that could be made regarding that. But,
yes, but
I can ask.
Yes, that's fair enough. That's fair enough, because the bottom line is that you're trying to hoodwink me. All right, under these circumstances. So what has happened in the past is that in 2005, I've explained to you that I'm making quite clear here. I will not be doing things for free. I made that clear in the past. Now, obviously, if you're forcing me to do something, I'm saying that's slavery. You personally think, come on, Shaz, that's a bit too far. All right, but legally speaking, that's I would argue that's a very strong way to make that is a slavery. Now, for example, if you, Mr. Browell, say to me, don't touch me, all right, so don't lay your finger on me. If I then proceed to touch you, that is classed as common assault. All right, that's how the law works. If I touch your skin without your consent or permission, that is the definition of assault. All right, it does not have to leave a bruise. It does not have to cause you pain. If you can evidence that you told me not to touch you, and if you can evidence that I touched you, not even causing you any pain, that is common assault. If I leave a bruise, that's common assault on battery. All right, the battery element, all right, comes in after the bruising. If I touch you without your consent and permission, that's assault. I'm telling you it's relevant because your definition that, oh no, if I touch somebody that's okay, all right, I'm telling you legally speaking that's assault, and if I leave a bruise behind, that's assault on battery. Similarly, I'm trying to explain to you how it's relevant is that if I'm telling you I'm not working for free, and you're forcing me to take my labor and you're taking advantage of it and you've benefited from it, that is slavery. That is a quintessential definition of slavery. You're forcing me to do something against my consent, against my wishes, and you're financially benefiting. It's the financial. Do you agree, irrespective of forcing me to do something?
I think we need to end the conversation.
Yes.
I think it's quite reasonable and clear what I've said. Yeah. Again, the court order is there in place. I can ask about administrative costs. What I'm saying is that there's money there. You can be reimbursed reasonable costs. And there can be a budget that doesn't require receipts. So if there's some leeway in that budget that Talib wants to kind of, pay for you to go to shopping or things like that. That's between you and Talib.
Yes.
Anything else?
Okay.
It's just the pie in the sky stuff.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. You say it's pie in the sky. I would disagree with you. But coming back to this, why does he need a budget for his money? And remember, this is not direct payments. This is his DWP benefit money. See, you've created. It's pie in the sky. You know, Mr.
You're involved to support him, and
Yes.
even when there's an appointeeship in place, that's the way it works.
Yes.
So, and again, besides of that budget, again, like I said, if there was a one-off payment that Talib needed a car, and you could then say, right, Talib says he wants the car, I could then put a form in to then request money as a one-off payment to pay for a car, and that would be approved or it wouldn't.
Okay.
If it's approved,
Okay.
then that decision's already been made, so it's already been agreed.
Okay. Okay, but who's going to drive the car? Who's going to insure the car?
Well, again, I can't answer that. Like I said, that's, again, you can't start. I'll ask the point. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe I can ask that you be able to remunerate it to be, but you could, rather than that, it'd be a case of travel costs. What's the budget for Talib's travel costs? Well, that could be £50. £100 a week. That would be if he needed to get taxis, or if he wants to pay someone else driving, i.e. you.
Okay.
For that, no, they wouldn't.
But can you understand all this time, like I'm taking up your time now. This is your time is being paid by society, by the residents. Okay, so your time is being taken up. All this negotiating takes time and resources, doesn't it? Negotiating even to get a car, there's intricacies. All this stuff is being created now. You on your side are being remunerated for your time and efforts. Talib is not getting involved. My time. Can you understand even this aspect of like asking for a car, getting approval from you? This is what you've created, and this is ultimately.
I know, but this is the best thing that I can provide.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'll take it. Okay, Mr. Brown. Whatever you're willing to provide, I'm willing to take. So I'm not negating anything that you're saying, and I don't want you to construed that I'm trying to stop you from making me an offer, because you've not made me an offer, and I've not seen anything in writing as yet. I'm just looking at the practicalities and the problems. But with regards to the word pie in the sky, I think you, the council, are talking about pies in the sky, because this present situation is ludicrous, it's obscene, it's ridiculous. All right, and the pies in the sky have been created by you, the council, because what effectively you've done, the council, and this is what I've engineered, because I'm an intelligent person. I've engineered it such that you, Bradford Council, have made the act of caring a criminal enterprise. That's effectively what you've done. That is the pie in the sky here. You, the Bradford Council, have bought off the judges to make what I've been doing for the last 23 years and continue to do. I'm a carer and I care. All right, and what you've done is said, no, the caring is a criminal activity or fraudulent activity, and that's what you've created in the situation. So with respect, Mr. Browell, nothing I say is pie in the sky. I've documented to you in the last email on the 17th of May, my costs were originally, my labour remuneration costs were originally £410 a week, or £22,000. And taking into consideration at that time I was acting under goodwill gesture, under the belief that you, the local authority, were acting within the law. Now that I realize that you do not act within the law and you're acting outside of the law, my labour weekly costs, I reiterate, are £1 million a week. Now you can say to me, that's part. Yes. Yes, Mr. Brown. Okay. So when
you're talking about, can I agree from £100,000 for you to get remunerated £1 million a week out of Talib's benefits money?
No, I didn't say that, Mr. Browell. I'm just trying to tell you what you said. What I'm saying is pie in the sky. That I'm having slavery committed against me. You said that that's pie in the sky. All right, and what I'm saying is pie in the sky. And what I believe is that I believe what I'm saying is justified.
I'm not saying everything what you say is pie in the sky, but what I'm saying is the offer that I'm trying to propose is that there's a way to get money, be remunerated for any costs incurred, and potentially costs moving forward as well. That would need to be within a budget. And within it, there'd be some of that leeway would need to be Talib's choice of how to spend that money, and that
Okay.
that wouldn't.
Okay.
I would think that it would be difficult to say that you would be paid X
Yes.
amount of pounds
Yes.
for every time
Yes.
that you take talent
Yes.
to the shop.
And we've agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
And sorry, Mr. Browell, we've agreed upon this because you understand that if you pay me even minimum wage, you'll be setting a precedence, and that precedence would be applied to the
That's
10.
my own opinion. Again, I could ask, you know, appointeeships, but that I would have thought that would be a step too far.
Yes,
yeah.
I understand, and
Because then what happens when say all the money goes that's accrued in appointeeships, and then it be like you would
Yes.
then, if that would have been agreed, you'd be able to say, well, you're employed now, you're
Yes.
employees, right? You've agreed that I get
Yes.
paid a minimum amount of money.
Yes.
There's no money in talent appointeeships anymore.
Yes.
So who's going to pay my
Yes.
wage? So
That's a problem. And also these are the problems that exist, you understand? And so this is why the local authority saw it fit to criminally convict me to avoid these things, because you're right, that is a very interesting point that you raised, that if we come to an agreement, let's just say that there's a budget, all right, that budget has to take into consideration the accumulated amount which we're looking to dissipate. When the accumulated amount dissipates, there's a change of circumstances there, that there's no more money left. But our
need to be a change of circumstance.
Yes.
But then, like you said, I'd have to probably be set out as a way of how that change of circumstance, you know, there'd be a meeting or
Yes.
something like that.
More time and administration involved, but the change of circumstance would not have happened at our end. The only change of circumstance would have happened because you got no money left. All right, and then obviously we're back at square one, you see, because you
asked how can talent's money be dissipated.
Yes.
I'm coming back with a proposal of how the money can be dissipated, and you're saying, but what if things change when there's no money left? It's like I can't win.
No, Mr. Brown, no.
Okay, here's a resolution.
No.
What now if there's no money?
No, Mr. Browell. With respect, you can't say what we've proposed. What we've said is that all his DWP money. This is the way you dissipate it. You hand it all over to Talib. That's simple, isn't it? And you're saying no, we don't want to do that. All right. So
I'm
what you
saying no, we don't want to do that. I'm saying that there's a court order in place.
No. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But the reality is this: that you've accumulated his DWP benefit money. It is your proposal that we provide you with, like a grant.
That's the safeguard, and
Yes.
and the safeguard. And what I'm saying is that safeguard wouldn't require any receipts or evidence.
Yes. No, but you just said you can't win with me, but you can't win with me because of the proposal that you're putting forward. The reality is this: that okay, don't pay him his his direct payments, okay, which we've not even discussed so far. Don't pay him the money that you've accumulated from Adalat. All right, that's different money. But his benefit money, by law, you cannot hold. It's a criminal offence that you, the council, have convicted me of in R versus Regina versus Mr. Shajjad Hussain 2016. So the very fact that you're holding his benefit money, which has to be spent on him, all right, and now you're looking to make all these proposals, it's a failure on your part.
The legitimacy of that I cannot affect. So if you want to kind of challenge that, then
Yes.
that's not to do with me.
Yes. Yes, the court order does not prevent you from giving Talib all. Tell me, does the court order prevent you from giving Talib all his benefit money?
So I don't know. Probably not. I don't know.
No, the court order only authorizes you to manage his money. What I'm trying to say is that we've had this hour-long or so discussion because the local authority, is your problem. Can I just ask, why are you looking to give me a proposal?
Because I've asked if there's any kind of
Yes.
the appointeeship. I don't think it can be reversed as far as
Yes.
I'm not aware of how it can be reversed. So I'm trying to make it work in a way.
Yes.
that works
Okay,
for
all right.
Talib and also for you.
I'm not asking you for it to be reversed. I accept that there's a appointeeship order as far as the conversation with us is concerned. What I'm asking is that, how are you? This is the only question. I'm going to end this conversation because I've got other things to do myself. I'm just asking this one question. And please, can you address it when we next speak? And also after this call, I remind you to get in touch with the council tax people. But I'm asking this one question. How is it that you have got Talib's DWP benefit money and are accumulating it in the context that you've criminally convicted me of the very same thing? And can you, the council, explain to me how the money that you have now is not criminal proceeds? Because obviously, look, this is my Talib's benefit money. We're not talking about DW direct payments.
On a superficial way of understanding, there's a court order in place, so that would say that there would be a disagreement that is criminal proceeds. Like I say, any other answer would have to be challenged.
Okay, all right. Okay, but can you ask that question, because the money that he's getting is not is his legal entitlement under legislation. He's under social security benefit laws. He's entitled to get that money every week. And in the past, when the DWP have held his money and accumulated there, when an issue has arose, they have then, once the issue has been resolved, given him this money. The present court order that you have in place prevents him from getting his legal entitlement, such as getting his legal entitlement for many other things. So you're asking me to accept the court order that you have fraudulently obtained, which is now having an adverse effect. But
what I've spoke about is what could be within my control.
Okay. But can I just ask for clarity of the fact that you're accumulating? Look, to resolve the DWP benefit money that I'm trying to say, and you recognize that this is not different. There's different categories of money that Talib has. Some of those are payments received in compensation that the Adalat that you've got. Some of those are like his direct payments which you've accumulated. But forgetting all those, specifically focusing in on his weekly living cost of direct pay of his benefit money. How is it that you accumulated this? And I asked you the question, how are you proposing to dissipate it? And your answer is that we're going to put a budget in place and look to dissipate it through the budget. But then the problem there that you have, because what I've said is that just hand the money over to Talib. All right, you're not willing to do that. You're willing to put a budget in place, but the budget in place would obviously look to slowly decrease the accumulated amount to a point at some future point in time when the money is going to be dissipated, and that's going to be a change of circumstance, which you're going to say that now we're going to reevaluate the budget because we've not got that accumulated money anymore. But that change of circumstance has got nothing to do with Talib's actual circumstances. That's in order to facilitate you to dissipate the accumulated money. So this proposal is in your benefit, to your advantage, or all for your for your.
Trust me, Shazad, none of this is to my advantage.
No, you the council. Yeah. To you the problem here is
to my advantage. This is to my disadvantage because we spent 2 hours. Again, I think I've provided a reasonable kind of idea answer to your questions, a resolution, and still we know further.
No, we're not.
I don't know what else I can do.
No, we're not. It's not that. I'm just asking for clarity. See, the proposal that you're putting forward is a personal budget, isn't it? And I would rather have this conversation with you now before it's set up, because obviously there'll be legal consequences afterward if it fails. Now the problem here is that you're proposing this budget, or everything that the council is doing, it's in its own best interest. Now this proposal that you're willing to put forward to us is in the council's best interest, because the council recognizes that according to this court order that we put in place, we are now effectively accumulating money that are holding on to money that we have no legal right to hold on to, because it's not direct payment money, it's living money. So you, the local authority, have shot yourselves in the foot with this malevolent or fraudulent court order, just like you, the local authority, shot yourselves in the foot by forcing my mother to be vaccinated and she ended up dying. This is the problem here. So I just want to ask you, Mr. Browell, I want you to recognize, not to be intellectually dishonest, to look at the fuller situation here. The proposals that you're making are effectively to help the local authority dissipate the money that they are unlawfully accumulating and holding on to. So can you understand that as it presently stands, that is the situation. This is, if you're holding on to this money and allowing it to accumulate, there is a court precedence which you, the council, have set, which is Shajad versus Bradford Council or whatever, that you should not be holding on to or accumulating his money. So you're effectively now begging me as a council to help you dissipate this money, because knowing the fact that it's criminal proceeds. Can you please just ask or inquire about this aspect until we speak next? Can you do that for me?
So you want to ask, how is it that the council can criminally accrue money?
No. Yes, sorry. How can the council accumulate Talib's benefit money when they have criminally convicted me for doing the same?
that is
What?
is the court order in place. So that would hint, even though you don't say it's a legitimate court order, that would hint that it's not criminally accumulated.
But no, just hold on a second. Just let me explain this to you. So what you're basically saying, there's a legal authority in place for you to accumulate that. That's what you're saying to me. Yeah.
It's not accumulated. Your Talib's not accepting that money, and you know you're not supporting Talib to accept that money. So it wouldn't accumulate if you were willing to accept.
No. Let's not convolute the matter here. Basically, what you're saying, because you're assuming that's the answer. So if that's the answer, their argument is this: that we have a legal authority to collect this DWP benefit money because we've got a court order in place. That's what you're saying to me, yes?
That is, I don't know enough about it. That would be my opinion.
Okay, all right. But equally, the problem here lies is that Talib was not receiving his benefit money prior to my criminal conviction in his name. I had a DWP appointee. I had the legal authority to collect that money and accumulate it myself. So when I had the legal authority, because obviously there was no court order then in place, I had the requisite legal authority to collect and accumulate his money and do with it as I pleased because I was his DWP appointee. So when I had the legal authority to collect his DWP appointee money, you, the council, criminally convicted me. So I had the legal authority in place. Now you're saying that you've got the legal authority in place through the court order, but now you're accumulating this money. All right, but how can you do the same when I had the legal authority at the time, and subsequently I've now asked the DWP people to give me evidence of this, and they're refusing to disclose that information to me. So can you understand, with respect, Mr. Browell, that can you please put those questions and ask the solicitors or whoever to write to me or put that in writing? How can you accumulate his DWP benefit money whilst having legal authority to do so, at the same time of criminally convicting me of accumulating the benefit money while I had the legal authority to do so the same?
I can ask that question to that, and I very much doubt that there'll be an answer.
Yeah, and the reason they won't give an answer, because they know they're doing something criminal. All right, it's because what can they say? We're acting criminally. We bought off the judge. They can't give that answer. They're not going to give me any answer. But the bottom line.
The chances are they're probably not going to write in a letter that they bought off the judge.
No, obviously, and they can't accept the fact that they've done something wrong, can they? But the bottom line is this: that I was legally authorized as far as the laws were in place at the time. My brother did not lack mental capacity. He had legally authorized me to be his DWP appointee. I was receiving his money from the Department of Work and Pension. I was putting it into my bank account. It was accumulating and I was spending it as I saw fit. You, the local authority, in addition to other criminal charges, one of the criminal convictions is that, I was accumulating his DWP benefit money. You've criminally convicted me. Subsequently, my brother's given me his lasting power of attorney. I've established that my brother has mental capacity to do so. You've negated all that stuff. You bought off the judges. Now you're saying, look, we've got a power over, we've got the deputyship order in place, but now the effects are that my brother's not getting his benefit money and you're accumulating it. That is a problem, eh? Unless we look to resolve this problem, all right, how can we move forward?
To be honest, I don't think they're that bothered, to be honest. This is me.
I know.
This is me, Shazad, that's wanting to try and get Talib's money. I don't think they're that bothered that the money's accumulating. They haven't sent me on a mission. It's me going.
I know. And thank you for that, Mr. Browell. And I, on a personal note, once again, I'm encouraged that and pleased that you're looking to do something, to resolve the situation. But when you say that they're not that bothered, trust me, they are bothered. All right, they don't tell you about it, but they're plotting and planning and conniving. Hence why an attempt has been made on me and my brother's life by poisoning us through our brother Adal. I can assure you that they are very much bothered, because the solicitors and the barristers. Why do you think the solicitor Parveen Akhtar absconded last year? Why do you think he's left? Why do you think all the senior people are leaving? Why do you think, trust me on this, that they fully know, the local authority, Bradford Council fully know what they've done is criminal and what they're doing doing is criminal, because they cannot accumulate this money. Ideally, the court of protection is there for very unique circumstances where there is nobody available or nobody involved, and the local authority are the last bastion of last resort to deal with the person's affairs. Under these circumstances, the local authority are utilizing the court protection and weaponizing the courts and court orders in order to, cover their own backs. And remember, I remind you that the reason that they're doing all this, and the reason that they're targeting me, is that they were paying me direct payments of £410, particularly in Talib's case, for over 5 years, and not auditing it, and that was a responsibility on their part. When I look to whistleblower, they've been targeting me subsequently. So that is the reality of the situation, that the local authority have been systemically failing. When I look to whistleblower upon them, they're targeting me to a point where they murdered my mother, murdered my father, murdered my brother, and now targeting my brother Talib. You can say to as much as you want that that's all pie in the sky, but these are all backed up by facts, and the local authority.
I wasn't referring to that. I was referring to the other matter that we were talking about included in the agreement about. And I don't know about it in the past, but to include in the agreement that you're going to be paid a wage.
Yes, okay, and I agree with you, because that would set a precedence, and that if I'm getting paid a wage, or I'm being paid even minimum wage, which is I think £10 an hour, then that would open up the floodgates for the 10 million people behind me that are also informal carers. So that's one of the reasons that they're not willing to set that precedence, but they are willing to set the precedence of criminally convicting me for a crime that I did not commit. Mr. Browell, I'm really, really appreciative of your time, but I equally want to end the conversation now and look to bring the come out to a close. So can we end the call now? I would like to remind you that we would like you to deal with the council tax matter, and hopefully we can speak again maybe towards the end of the week or next week.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll try and give them a call, and when I've spoken with them, I'll give you a call. It'll try to be towards the end of this week.
Okay, thank you. Well, remember, we're supposed to be in court summons on the 1st of June.
Is it not the 5th of June?
No, the 1st of June. Maybe I'm mistaken. Can you just double check? It should do. There's a summons.
That's what I mean. I don't think you sent me the summons one. You haven't sent me the summons.
Summons. It says it's summons for non-payment of. It says it here directly. It says the date there. Wait on a minute. Let me just see. They just says summons of a non-payment council tax. Talib was saying, do you see that? Yes.
No, I'm the one that you sent me. I'm not sure if you.
Yeah. I think well, I'll double check this, and I'm sure it's the first. I double checked it. Can you just hold on a second? I'm just going to pull up the file. Just hold on a second. I've got it in front of me here somewhere. Council tax, Talib was saying, yes, it is. So this is the 19th of May. All right.
This is something of April. This is the 13th of April.
No, wait on a minute. No, just hold on a second. 19th of May. Just hold on a second. Yeah, 10th of May. This is the 10th of May that I sent you.
I haven't got that one.
No, that's the one I sent on. Just hold on a second. Well, I'll just double check on the date, and I'll send you again if I have to. Okay.
Does it say when? Does it say when?
Yes. It says it here 1st of June at 2:00. And I'm just gonna point you to that direct email. So I sent you an email on the I sent you an email on the I sent you an email. Just one second. When did I send this email? I sent this email to you on the 17th of May.
No, so I've got one from the 7th. Are you sure you sent it to me?
Yes.
Or is it from a different account? Is it from I'm just
No.
checking on the.
Well, let me just see. I'm sent it to what is it? Christopher.Browell@bdct.nhs.uk.
Yeah, but have you sent it from the Talibatan primary
Yes.
email?
Yes. I've sent it from there. Yes. And you told me when was the last time you received an email from me?
The 9th, the police complaint on the 9th of May. I haven't got one. Other than that, I haven't got anything else here.
Well, I've not received a bounce back, and I've definitely sent it to you. Just hold on a second. Council tax. This does not make any sense to me because I sent. It's called council tax notice. Did you receive that one on the 18th of April?
Yeah,
Okay, and then I sent one on the 17th of May.
I haven't received that one.
Well, did you receive my email sent on the 26th of May saying that I have been trying to contact you last week? Please, can you?
I wonder if these are. Right, okay. I wonder if I'm not getting them because the last one I've received from you when I typed in that email address, talibatanprimary@gmail.com.
Yep.
And the last one is the 9th of May that I've got.
9th of May.
Yeah.
I haven't sent you an email on the 9th of May.
That's the police complaint.
Oh yeah, that's the police complaint one, yes. But I've just sent you. I might just let me just spell this guy. I've sent you an email on the 26th of May. That's the last email that I've sent you, and it's to Christo CHRISTOPHER
Yeah.
dot Browell BROWELL
Yeah.
at bdct.nhs.uk.
Yeah, that's fine. When did you send the council tax notice one?
I sent it, like I said, I first sent it to you. I wrote to you on the 18th of April, subject title Council Tax Notice. I then sent you one on the 17th of May, all right, which was a day after when we last spoke. We spoke on the 16th of May. The following day, I sent you the email on the 17th of May. I included a lot of people in that email, all right, and so it would have gone to.
Do you know what?
So
maybe it's being screened.
Maybe I'm not sure. If you can just look into this, because I sent it to Mohammed Fayaz and Nadia Khan, and that bounced back as saying that those emails addresses that don't work. But then I didn't get a bounce back from you saying that email address has not worked. So I've also only sent it to Vicina Brown and Ismail Muller and Graham Kenner.
Yeah, I think maybe it's being screened.
Well, if it's been screened or whatever, can you just please look into this matter, because it's not bounced back from my end. And like I said, I've then subsequently sent you just one email. The last email I sent you was, once again, Christopher.Browell, because obviously I'm not typing in each time. It just comes up on the 26th at 13:34. And it just basically says, Dear Mr. Christopher Browell, I have been trying to contact you all week. Please, can you call me as I need to discuss the outstanding council tax issue with you urgently?
Yeah, I haven't received that, no.
Well, that was sent 4 days ago.
Yeah, I know. But I haven't received it.
So maybe I think can you have a word with your manager saying that, are you blocking my emails? Because they may have told the IT department not to forward them on to you, because you should have definitely received that email, because that's just addressed directly to you. It's a very short email, and obviously it's got the same subject title as council tax notice.
Yeah, I think it is. I'll probably I can kind of mention it, but I don't think I probably won't be able to unscreen any of that. I wouldn't have thought.
Well,
if they've made a decision to screen the emails,
well, at least you should know that Mr. Hussein's emails are being screened from now on, and you're not receiving them because you're not given any information. So at least you should know the fact that they've been screened or not. But yes, I did send you one on the 17th of May, and I did send you one 4 days ago, because obviously I was trying to call you up, but I was not aware that you were on sick leave. But yes, this is on the 1st of June, Thursday, that the council tax summons is available. And like I said, I've done everything. I can't send it you by email if you're not receiving my emails.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll give him a call. So 2 p.m. on the 1st of June, you say?
Yeah, 2 o'clock on 1st of June, and it's Mr. Talib Hussein. Can I just give you the reference number just in case?
Yeah, give me the reference number. What's the reference number?
So the account reference number is 3580. 250. 610. 39.
And is there a telephone number to contact there?
I think it's Bradford 437792.
Yeah. Okay, doke.
Can you just read that account reference back to me?
3580-250-61039.
That's correct, Mr. Browell.
And the telephone number is 437792.
437792. That's correct. Yes.
Is there any other information on that letter that I need to know if I give them a call?
Yeah, just the date of the magistrate's court is on the 1st of June at 2 p.m.
First, you say, yeah?
Yeah, first. You may need the summons number as well. I've got a summons number here.
Yeah.
So the summons number is 51747
Yeah.
dash 96014
Yeah.
dash 2456.
Okay.
So that's the three different sets of numbers dashed in between.
Yeah, and is that addressed to Talib or yourself?
That's addressed to Talib.
Right. Before, was it addressed to yourself? Do you know why it's addressed to Talib now? Or...
Well, I mean, this is the confusing part. Originally when they've issued it, they've said you send it to both our names. Now they send it to each of our names separately. So
right. Okay.
So the summoned us separately.
For the same amount.
Yeah.
Right. And is summoned on a different day and time?
No, same date and time. Everything exactly the same. Yeah, I just thought that was a bit odd as well. They put both of our names down and then put each singularly each bundle's names down. But obviously, because you're his care coordinator and you work for the council, you can deal with this issue on Talib's behalf.
I'm not agreeing to that. I can try and
Okay, all right. But you need to explain to them. You need to explain to them that I'm myself on carer's benefit and my brother's on obviously qualifying benefits, and we would be entitled to a council tax rebate on this matter.
Yeah.
And also the fact that we're not tenants right now. We don't have any legal tenancy here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Browell. Thank you once again for your time and patience. Thank you. Goodbye.
No worries, bye-bye.
That's a long call. Very long call.